Chapter 180, The more children, the better, no need for others to provide for old age. 3 days later. Lu Chongqing said goodbye to Lu Miaoge, then took his wives and concubines on a spirit boat from the spiritual boat pavilion back to Qingzhou Mountain. This spirit boat was also a small flying boat, but it could seat a total of 15 people. Apart from Lu Chongqing and his family, the pavilion also arranged for a cultivator to control the spirit boat. They also provided 2 cultivators at the energy refinement late stage as escorts, to prevent any dangers or accidents along the way. This made Lu Chongqing nod in approval, thinking to himself that although the 160 spirit stones were expensive, they were worth the cost. Moreover, with the reputation of the spiritual boat pavilion, not many robber cultivators would dare to mess with its flying boats. A day and a half later, the spirit boat landed steadily on Qingzhou Mountain. "Let's go." Lu Chongqing, accompanied by the women, descended from the spirit boat and entered Qingzhou Mountain. If it had been before, bringing so many wives and maids back to Qingzhou Mountain wouldn't have been good. But now, having become a high-ranking talisman master, his benefits, treatment, and status had all been elevated. So bringing a few wives and maids home was no longer a problem. However, it was still necessary to report and register upon arrival. Afterward, Lu Chongqing led the women to Qingzhou Villa to report to Uncle Fu. Uncle Fu looked at Lu Chongqing, accompanied by 8 women, each of whom was holding a baby, and didn't know what to say for a moment. He vaguely remembered the scene several years ago when Lu Chongqing returned with Chu Xinjin and 2 foreign women. But such matters were not for him to comment on. After all, Lu Chongqing had never neglected his duties. He had even recently been promoted to a high-ranking talisman master. Now, his status in the Lu family was even higher than that of a manager like himself. So naturally, he couldn't preach or give advice. In the end, he simply congratulated him, noting that young people have vigor, but they should also take care of their health. As the saying goes, youth is often spent without valuing health, leaving one in tears in old age. Lu Chongqing understood that Uncle Fu meant well and nodded with a smile, assuring him that he was aware and had things under control. He then took the women back to his residence in Qingzhou Valley. When Lu Chongqing returned home with the women, his arrival with 8 young women and 5 children was witnessed by many of the Lu family disciples. This quickly spread throughout the entire Lu family, causing much gossip. Lu Chongqing used to come back carrying 3 children, and now suddenly it's 5. Are these all kids from Changsheng's concubines outside? I heard rumors before that Lu Chongqing had dozens of concubines outside. Now it seems it wasn't just a rumor. Brother-in-law Changsheng's wives and maids, taken together, must add up to more than 20 by now, right? Too few, you're thinking too narrow. Just here in Qingzhou Mountain, we have 20, how can you be sure Lu Chongqing doesn't have concubines in the marketplace or in the secular world? You can tell, Brother Chongqing really loves having children. Speaking of which, why did Chongqing bring so many wives and concubines back this time? Wasn't he managing shops in 9 Dragons Market? I did hear about it. Brother Chongqing recently became a high-ranking talisman master, so he came back this time to focus quietly on the talisman path. What, Lu Chongqing became a high-ranking talisman master already? Hiss, a high-ranking talisman master, it hasn't been that long, and Brother Chongqing has already been promoted to high-ranking talisman master. No way, with all this marrying and having kids, how does he have the energy to focus on the talisman path? Last time, Qing took me to Spring Abundance Building for 3 days of fun, and I was shaky all that time, my concentration suffered. Maybe this is just extraordinary talent. The Lu family disciples were abuzz with discussion. Many felt envious and even had their beliefs challenged upon learning of Lu Changsheng's actions and his promotion to high-ranking talisman master. After all, the Lu family had always taught them that everything was inferior, only cultivation was supreme. Work hard in cultivation for the contribution to the family. Only with undivided focus on the path of cultivation can one achieve success. Now, seeing Lu Changsheng's completely different approach, yet excelling in the talisman path, caused them to doubt. They began to question whether constantly striving in cultivation but still seeing foundation establishment as distant was meaningful or worthwhile. The immortal seedlings that had come to the Lu family with Lu Changsheng as his followers couldn't help but sigh upon hearing this. They felt a sense of unbelievable magic. The next day, the family head, Lu Yuanding, came to talk to Lu Changsheng. He expressed that there was naturally no problem with Lu Changsheng taking wives and concubines. Bringing them back was also not an issue. However, he hoped that in the future, Lu Changsheng would not bring so many maids and children back at once. Or at least to keep a lower profile when coming back, otherwise, it would not leave a good impression. Faced with such remarks, Lu Changsheng naturally nodded in agreement. He said that he had brought more maids and children back this time because he wanted to spend time with his wives and to concentrate on talismans in the tranquility of Qingzhou Mountain. He assured that it wouldn't happen again next time. Good, as long as you're aware that's fine. Seeing Lu Changsheng respond in this manner, Lu Yuanding did not pursue the matter further. Such issues really weren't major concerns. It was just that Lu Changsheng's behavior had somewhat affected the atmosphere of Qingzhou Mountain. So he had come to give a gentle reminder. Otherwise, with Lu Changsheng now a high-ranking talisman master, how could he possibly continue to find fault in matters of taking concubines and raising children? Moreover, he himself had once said that the matters of taking wives and concubines were Lu Changsheng's own business, and the Lu family would not interfere. Could it be that Lu Changsheng is really going to do as he once said, marry 100 women and father hundreds of children? After leaving Lu Changsheng's residence, Lu Yuanding suddenly thought. Initially, he had taken those words as an exaggeration. Chapter 181, The more children, the better, no need for others to provide for old age. But now, he felt as if Lu Changsheng really was proving it through his actions. Indicating that his words were not empty. Thinking about the speed at which Lu Changsheng married and had children, Lu Yuanding couldn't help but twitch his mouth slightly. Suddenly feeling somewhat relieved that his daughter, Lu Miaohuan, hadn't married Lu Changsheng. Otherwise, by now she would probably already be on her third child. After returning to Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Changsheng lived a life of seclusion and minimal outings. Every day was spent cultivating, making talisman, and spending time with his wives and children. Occasionally, he would chat with Li Feiyu and watch him train the kids in martial arts. However, the children were still young and at this stage, martial arts training was about building a foundation. They hadn't truly started practicing martial arts yet. To actually begin martial arts training, they would need to wait until they were around 11 or 12 years old, when their bodies had grown sufficiently. In the blink of an eye, over a month had passed. During this month and a bit, the children in the wombs of Jiang Luyue and Yuya were born. Jiang Luyu's child had a spiritual root, but it was only a 9th grade spiritual root. While the rate at which Lu Changsheng's children grew had slowed compared to the previous year, it continued to increase steadily. In recent days, the 63rd child had been conceived. Today was also the day of the Lu family's spiritual root testing ceremony. Lu Changsheng had 5 children participating in this ceremony. The results of the test for the 5 children were as he expected. Only little 7th, Lu Xianji, was detected to have a spiritual root. The quality of the spiritual root was also as he had guessed. A 9th grade spiritual root, biased toward the wood element. Even though it was the lowest 9th grade spiritual root, it still made his mother, Lu Yuzhu, extremely happy. And it made Lu Changsheng's other wives and maids incredibly envious. After all, having a spiritual root, no matter how low grade, was still a spiritual root, with the potential for cultivation in the future. From now on, their fates would no longer align with mere mortals, theirs would be the path of immortals. Considering the feelings of his other wives and children, Lu Changsheng didn't celebrate extravagantly. Things continued as usual, as if it was just a regular test. As for Lu Xianzi's cultivation, there was no rush right now. He was too young, only 6 years old, his body had not yet fully developed, and starting cultivation too early was not a good thing. In the cultivation world, children typically began their cultivation journey at the age of 12. However, even at this stage, they could start laying a foundation, using treasures of heaven and earth to nourish the body and meridians to build a solid foundation, giving the child a head start for the future. Lu Changxing wasn't stingy. He would allocate 10 spirit stones each month to buy elixir medicines to strengthen Lu Xianzi's body and lay a foundation for cultivation. After all, he was the first child to possess a spiritual root. Even if it was only in 9th grade, Lu Changxing was willing to cultivate him properly. Moreover, after Lu Xianji started cultivating, the improvement in his cultivation level would also benefit Lu Changxing, essentially making it money spent on himself in the end. Sigh, no wonder ordinary cultivators are reluctant to marry and have children. If the child has a spiritual root, you have to cultivate it, but even the most basic cultivation would cost several spirit stones a month, and raising a child from infancy to adulthood is no small sum. Lu Changxing couldn't help but sigh. People like Lu Pingon practicing martial arts hardly spent any money. Eating and drinking spirit rice and spiritual meals every day was enough for them to become martial arts prodigies. But it was different for someone like Lu Xianji, considering that he now had 7 children with spiritual roots. When the remaining 6 children were detected to have spiritual roots and needed financial cultivation for their foundations, that would mean an extra 70 spirit stones spent each month, and as the number of children with spiritual roots increased and they started real cultivation, this expense would continue to grow. Indeed, raising children is never easy. No matter where one is, the more you have, the harder it is to support them. Lu Changxing shook his head in reflection. If he were just an ordinary talisman master, even a superior one wouldn't dare to have so many children, because not only is there an initial investment for learning the craft, but continuous expenses are also necessary for practice and improving the success rate of talisman making. He simply couldn't afford the luxury of not worrying about extra expenses like he could. However, the more children, the better. No need for others to provide for my old age. Once the children grow up, they'll be able to relax, Lu Changxing consoled himself. Late at night. After the deed. Husband, do you think Chuanjin, Yuzhen, and Caizhen have spiritual roots? Chu Zhenjin leaned lazily against Lu Changsheng's chest, her eyes brimming with askance. Lu Xianzi's detection of a spiritual root today had made her think of her own 3 children. Regardless of whether they have spiritual roots, they are our children. Lu Changxing gently caressed her soft skin. Chu Zhenjin had borne him 3 children, 2 of whom had spiritual roots, but he didn't want his wives to focus too much on the matter of the children's spiritual roots. After all, he himself had struggled and suffered with this issue before. It wasn't until he had many children, most of whom didn't have spiritual roots, that he gradually let go and moved on. The kind of nature Chu Zhenjin had, if she thought too much, it would consume her every day. Yes, at Lu Changsheng's words, Chu Zhenjin snuggled up to him and softly nodded. She didn't have much interest in cultivation, and she wasn't particularly concerned about whether the children had spiritual roots or not. She just wanted to live a simple life with the person she loved. It was just that she thought Lu Changxing would prefer children with spiritual roots. After all, Lu Changxing often touted the benefits of having many children, not only for a full house, but to also hopefully birth children with good spiritual root potential and then cultivate them well. Now hearing Lu Changxing say this, she felt much more at ease. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed by. One day, in the practice room, huff. Lu Changxing opened his eyes and exhaled a breath of stale air. 7 threads of sword qi flowed around his body, visible both within and outside, sharp and ethereal. Chapter 182. The more children, the better. No need for others to provide for old age. Finally, it's done. Lu Changxing inspected his qi ocean core internally. He saw that the spiritual power in the core's elixir lake had turned entirely into a rainbow of colors at this moment. It signified that the cultivation technique he originally practiced, the returning origin technique, was now completely transformed into the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture. Although the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture is several times more profound and difficult to practice than the returning origin technique and requires several times more spiritual energy to be absorbed, cultivation techniques are divided into two parts. One part is the absorption of nature's spiritual energy, which strengthens and tempers the spiritual power. The other part is the understanding of the essence of the technique, which includes its realm, artistic conception, and various profound mysteries of cultivation. I obtained the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture through the system, which directly eliminated the need for the second part. Without spending time to comprehend the profound mysteries of the technique myself, I can cultivate at the fastest speed. This has allowed me to cultivate the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture, an orthodox-level cultivation technique, at a speed not the slightest bit slower than the returning origin technique, and even a bit faster. Lu Changsheng's sword chi around his body converged, and his aura became calm, his eyes were bright and spirited. The Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture might be difficult to practice, but for someone like Lu Changsheng, who was exceptionally talented, it was even easier compared to the returning origin technique. Because this sword scripture was as if engraved in his mind, allowing him to understand it inside out, ensuring no mistakes in his cultivation. Now that all my spiritual power has transformed into the Seven Luminaries' spiritual power, I can also start using the Seven Luminaries' sword chi to expel the poison of the elixir medicines, allowing me to consume them without any reservations. With such consumption of elixir medicines for cultivation, I'm afraid it would only take 2 or 3 years for me to reach the peak of the 7th level energy refinement. Moreover, this situation won't affect my foundation. Even more so, with the robustness of the Seven Luminaries' spiritual power, advancing from the 7th level to the 8th level energy refinement will be even simpler for me. Lu Changsheng let out a light chuckle. He was full of admiration for the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture. And he understood why cultivation techniques could occupy a place in the world of laws and wealth. The benefits and wonders of a profound cultivation technique can't be fully explained in a few words. After converting to the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword Scripture, Lu Changsheng didn't continue to cultivate. He went outside to relax, chat with his wives and concubines, and play with his children. After all, he was not one who would engage in arduous cultivation. Night fell. Over dinner, Lu Changsheng learned something new. The Purple Shadow secret realm was about to open. A core high-ranking member of the Lu family, along with several elite descendants, were heading towards the Purple Shadow secret realm. Lu Changsheng had heard of the Purple Shadow secret realm but did not know much about it. After Xiao Yura's explanation, he came to know what this Purple Shadow secret realm was all about. It was a secret realm jointly managed by several immortal sects of Jiang country, which could also be considered a spiritual vein-blessed land. Inside were many opportunities, and treasures of heaven and earth. Every 30 years, the several immortal sects would open the realm, sending Qi refinement disciples to explore and experience. Besides their disciples, the immortal sects also allowed descendants of other families and loose cultivators to enter. Because anything obtained within the realm had to pass through the hands of the immortal sects upon exit. In such circumstances, the immortal sects were naturally willing to allow more loose cultivators to enter. Other loose cultivators and family descendants knew this but still rushed towards the Purple Shadow secret realm. Because, in addition to opportunities and various treasures, it also contained the main ingredients to refine foundation establishment elixirs. And having obtained rare opportunities and precious treasures inside, one could exchange them for foundation establishment elixirs with the immortal sects. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng immediately knew. The Lu family's visit to the Purple Shadow secret realm this time was for the foundation establishment elixirs. After all, the situation for the Lu family right now was not optimistic. A new foundation establishment great cultivator was urgently needed. If we can obtain a foundation establishment elixir, and with the Lu family's strength, collect a few Foundation Establishment spiritual objects, perhaps our Lu family could give birth to a new Foundation Establishment Great Cultivator. Did the eldest miss go to the Purple Shadow Secret Realm? Lu Chongqing couldn't help but ask. Lu Miaoge was at the 7th level energy refinement and was considered one of the elites of the Lu family's younger generation. The Purple Shadow Secret Realm is very dangerous. Sister Miaoge is a talisman master, so naturally, the family wouldn't let her go. This time, Uncle Yuan Shan took my brothers Miaoquan and Miaofa with him, Lu Miaoyan spoke out. This wasn't a secret, and as a direct descendant of the Lu family, she was also aware of some of these matters. Lu Chongqing nodded in understanding. He was aware of Lu Yuanshan, a senior member of the Lu family with the strength of 9th level energy refinement. As for Lu Miaoquan and Lu Miaofa, he wasn't too clear about them, but estimated that they also held the power of around the 6th or 7th level energy refinement. Who knows whether the Lu family will gain anything from the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, Lu Chongqing thought inwardly. He still hoped that the Lu family would gain something from it, to obtain a Foundation Establishment elixir. After all, if the Lu family could have a new Foundation Establishment Great Cultivator, he wouldn't have to worry about the Lu family ancestors' affairs anymore, and the idea of escaping. Although he had met the Lu family ancestor once before, he felt that the ancestor didn't seem like someone on the verge of death. But in this time, he had also heard rumors to that effect. He knew that when Yuningrong had said the Lu family ancestor wouldn't live past 10 years, it wasn't unfounded. Foundation Establishment Elixir. Foundation Establishment is an eventual step for me as well. Even if I cultivate the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture and the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, and have 2 Foundation Establishment spiritual objects, my chances of Foundation Establishment are still not high, probably just about 60 to 70%, but the Foundation Establishment elixirs are basically monopolized by the major immortal sects, only occasionally available, and once they are made available, they are usually contended for by other powers, making it very hard for loose cultivators to acquire one. Lu Chongqing also couldn't help but think about his own future. Though he was cultivating 2 orthodox level cultivation techniques, the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Technique and the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture, and relying on Foundation Establishment spiritual objects for a 60 to 70% chance of Foundation Establishment, to Lu Chongqing, this probability was still too low. He absolutely required a Foundation Establishment elixir for a sure breakthrough. Otherwise, the risk of attempting Foundation Establishment was simply too great. If the attempt failed, the lightest consequence would be injury and regression of cultivation, and at worst, the meridians might sustain damage, turning one into a wasted individual, or it could even result in direct death. Without at least 90% confidence, and assurances that he wouldn't die if he failed to establish his foundation, Lu Chongqing wouldn't risk it. With a system by his side, he must remain as steady as an old dog. I obviously can't go to a place like the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. I wonder if the system could draw out some garbage elixirs, and grant me a Foundation Establishment elixir, if there was a Supreme Foundation Establishment elixir by the system, and then I find another physical body-oriented Foundation Establishment spiritual object, and my spiritual root gets an upgrade, advancing from lower grade to middle grade, then my success in Foundation Establishment would be practically guaranteed. Lu Chongqing thought inwardly. He was really looking forward to the system granting him a Foundation Establishment elixir before he prepared for it. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about Foundation Establishment anymore. Chapter 183, System Panel Activation. Lottery. One time flew by, and more than 3 months passed. On this day, Lu Changsheng's 59th child was born. This child possessed a spiritual root. Not long ago, a child born to Xiao Yuyao also possessed an 8th grade spiritual root. This moment marked the total number of Lu Changsheng's children with spiritual roots reaching 10. At the same time, 2 system notification sounds rang out. Congratulations to the host for giving birth to 10 children with spiritual roots. You have earned one lottery draw. The host now has a total of 50 children, with 10 possessing spiritual roots, and the system panel has been unlocked. System panel. Lu Chongqing was not surprised by the first system notification. But upon seeing the second notification from the system, he couldn't help but feel surprised and bewildered. He didn't expect that aside from receiving the customary child money from the system, he would also unlock a system panel. Isn't the system panel something that should be available as soon as the system is activated? Why is it only unlocking now for me and even requires prerequisites? Lu Chongqing wondered aloud. But he didn't dwell on it too much. It might be that the author initially forgot and only thought to add it later on. Lu Chongqing silently called system panel in his mind and opened his system panel. Name, Lu Chongqing. Status, son-in-law of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Cultivation level, 7th level energy refinement. Lifespan, 25/163. Talent, 7th grade spiritual root. Cultivation technique, Immortal beauty technique. 100 refinements treasure body art. 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture. Spells, flame bullet technique, wind control skill, object manipulating technique, aura concealment technique, spiritual eye technique, sound transmitting technique. Skills, talisman making, 2nd rank, puppetry, 2nd rank, spiritual pets, 9 netherhound, peach blossom goo, items, golden light brick talisman treasure, peach blossom goo, black dragon magical bead, book of malevolent curses and fates. Children, 5966, view details. At once, a straightforward interface appeared. It allowed Lu Chongqing to see his situation and information at a glance. My lifespan is only 163 years. Lu Chongqing looked at the lifespan column. He had previously thought that after consuming the lifespan extension pill, which added 50 years, he had a lifespan of 170 years. It turned out to be only 163 years. It seems that I am not quite the person of prolonged lifespan and good health. Lu Chongqing didn't concern himself with those few years of lifespan and looked towards the bottom row of the interface, where his children were listed. With a slight intent of his mental spirit, the interface before him changed. The faces and names of his children appeared on the screen. Lu Pingan, Lu Wuyu, Lu Wuyo, Lu Shila, Lu Xianji, Lu Chuanjin. Looking at his many children, even he, who was quite young himself, was somewhat unable to recognize who was who. Then, Lu Chongqing clicked on the portrait of Lu Pingan to check his details. Name, Lu Pingan, lifespan, 681st, talent, none, cultivation level, none, 81 years, haha. Lu Chongqing reviewed the simple information of his son, Lu Pingan. The lifespan was the only detail that caught his slight attention. In the mortal world, living to the age of 60 or 70 years old would already be considered a long life. 81 years was quite an advanced age. Moreover, if Lu Pingan were to practice martial arts and pay attention to maintaining good health, his lifespan could probably increase. After that, he checked the attributes of a few other children. They were similar to Lu Pingan, with only minor differences in lifespan. In terms of talents and abilities, all were indicated as none. At this moment, Lu Chongqing clicked to view the profile of his son, Lu Xianji. Name, Lu Xianji, lifespan, 679, talent, 9th grade spiritual root, cultivation level, none, so it means that with this system panel, not only can I clearly see my own information and situation, but I can also see the lifespan, talent, and strength of my children. Lu Chongqing had more or less figured out the use of this system panel. It allowed him to not only see his own clear situation, but also to check his children's lifespan, talent, and strength at any time. After glancing over several children's panels, Lu Chongqing didn't look any further. At this stage, the information on the children's panels was much the same. There wasn't much else to see. System, draw a lottery. Then, Lu Chongqing silently commanded, ready to proceed with the draw. A pale red virtual lottery wheel appeared. Begin the lottery. Lu Chongqing looked at the lottery wheel and declared. Having participated in many draws, and with the most desired cultivation techniques already in hand, he was quite calm about the lottery now. After all, not having expectations can lead to pleasant surprises, while holding on to hopes often invites disappointment. The wheel sparkled with golden light and spun rapidly. Later, it gradually slowed down and finally stopped on other. Ding! Congratulations to the host for winning a life-substituting talisman. The prize has been sent to the system space. The host can check it anytime. A talisman design emerged from the big wheel, accompanied by a notification sound from the system. Life-substituting talisman. A talisman. Lu Chongqing looked at the prize before him and raised an eyebrow. He didn't expect the system lottery to come up with a single talisman. This single talisman seemed a bit underwhelming in his eyes. It didn't quite match the previous principle of system products, must be fine quality. Lu Chongqing directed his mental spirit towards the golden talisman in the system space. Information emerged on it. Talisman, life-substituting talisman, rank, 4th rank, description. The talisman connects with the soul to offer protection from harm and the power to escape through space. 4th rank talisman. Lu Chongqing was startled to see the rank of this life-substituting talisman. Just a moment ago, he felt that it was somewhat underwhelming to receive only one talisman from the system lottery. But unexpectedly, it was a 4th rank talisman. As far as Lu Chongqing knew, in the cultivation world, even 2nd rank supreme talismans were already extremely rare. A 3rd rank talisman was considered a strategic level resource that money couldn't easily buy. Chapter 184, System Panel Activation. Lottery. Rarely does it appear on the market. As for 4th rank talismans, he had never even heard of them. Or rather, whether anyone in Jiang country could draw a 4th rank talisman was still a question. After all, it was exceedingly rare to find a 2nd rank talisman master. A 3rd rank talisman master, even in the whole of Jiang country, was as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Going to places like Heavenly Sword sect or Qingyun sect, they could serve as guest elders. However, although this life-substitute talisman seems powerful with the ability to substitute one's fate and block evil, I'm not necessarily able to use a 4th rank talisman. Lu Chongqing frowned slightly as he looked at the talisman before him. The description of this life-substitute talisman was naturally formidable. It could replace someone in facing death and teleport them thousands of miles away. It was an exceedingly rare, life-saving talisman. But activating talismans, unlike talisman treasures or the Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates, required the expenditure of one's own spiritual power and mental spirit. With his current cultivation level, he could at most use 2nd rank talismans. He was simply incapable of employing a 4th rank talisman. But this was a problem I foresaw long ago, Lu Chongqing said. My cultivation is too low at the moment and the ceiling for the system's prizes tends to be rather high. Just like when I drew magical treasures from the lottery, if I didn't have the 100 refinements treasure body art, I'd just be collecting dust. He let out a sigh, not dwelling on it further. He retrieved the life-substitute talisman from the system space. Immediately, a talisman looking like it was woven from golden silkworm threads, with profound symbolic lines, appeared in Lu Chongqing's hand. At the same time, detailed information about the talisman entered Lu Chongqing's mind. His eyes revealed an immediate look of surprise. The life-substitute talisman, a 4th rank superior grade talisman. You must drip blood from between your eyebrows and from over your heart onto the talisman, then connect it to your own flesh and soul. When facing a fatal attack or upon death, the life-substitute talisman will automatically activate, taking on the death-dealing blow in your stead, and randomly teleporting you thousands of miles away. This talisman only requires prior usage to link with one's soul. It doesn't consume any mental spirit or mana to activate. Which means, even with his current chi refinement realm capabilities, he could use it. Truly a system product, a 4th-ranked talisman is indeed a fine item. An excited feeling surged within Lu Chongqing. He had just thought he would not be able to use this 4th-ranked talisman. With this life substitute talisman, as long as I don't meet a nascent soul true lord, even if I face a nascent soul immortal, I can escape with my life. His heart swelled with joy. Lu Chongqing had many methods at his disposal now, but his strength was ultimately too limited. Even facing a foundation-building great cultivator posed a danger. But now with this 4th-rank life substitute talisman, he had an added layer of assurance. He could preserve his life and escape even against foundation establishment great cultivators and nascent soul immortals. As for nascent soul true lords, Lu Chongqing dared not claim certainty. Then, Lu Chongqing examined the golden talisman in his hand, 1 inch wide and 3 inches long, trying to discern any clues from it. Is this what a 4th-ranked talisman looks like? I actually can't even tell what material was used for the talisman paper, nor can I understand any of the patterns of the rune lines drawn on it. He mused after a while. He was hoping that with his 2nd-ranked talisman-making skill, he might be able to glean something from this 4th-ranked talisman, attempt to create a life-saving talisman with a similar effect. After all, many exclusive talismans have been researched this way. He acquired 2nd-ranked talisman-making skill not just for the experience, but it also included all the common basic talismans. However, this did not cover those rare and exclusive paths of talisman lore. But after a while, Lu Chongqing understood he was overthinking it. His 2nd-ranked talisman-making skill was completely outclassed by this 4th-ranked talisman, as if an elementary school student were trying to understand advanced mathematics. It was completely beyond him. To glean something from it was far too difficult. 4th-ranked talismans are too profound. If it were a 3rd-ranked talisman, perhaps I could make something out of it. Lu Chongqing gave up the idea of contemplation and study. Touching the spot between his eyebrows and then his chest, he forced out a drop of blood from his brow and from his heart, and applied it directly to the life substitute talisman in his hand. Instantly, after absorbing the 2 drops of blood, the life substitute talisman abruptly lifted into the air, igniting without fire. It transformed into a golden figurine and shot into Lu Chongqing's brow. An enigmatic pulsation washed over him, though it soon dissipated. Is it done? Lu Chongqing was startled. He hadn't expected that using a 4th-ranked talisman would be so fast. With his eyes closed and looking inward, he immediately saw the golden figure the life substitute talisman had become within the sea of consciousness at his brow. That golden figure sat motionless, seeming to contain a boundless and majestic power and was somehow connected to him in the unseen depths, binding his flesh and soul. In moments of lethal danger, it could serve as a safeguard. The life substitute talisman is miraculous indeed, worthy of a 4th-ranked talisman. It completely transcends my current understanding of the talisman path. Lu Chongqing observed the life substitute talisman in his sea of consciousness, uttering a sigh of emotion. After finishing a round of lottery, Lu Chongqing remembered he had been back on Qingzhou Mountain for almost half a year. He had nearly exhausted materials for making the 100 refinements treasure body technique and elixir medicines for cultivation, necessitating replenishment. Besides, 3 of his children were born in 9 Dragons Market, and it was time to pay the marketplace a visit. He told his wives and concubines, then mounted the iron feather eagle and left. 2 days later, Lu Chongqing arrived at 9 Dragons Market. Chapter 185, System Panel Activation. Lottery. After purchasing a batch of materials and elixir medicines in the marketplace, Lu Chongqing also stayed casually in 9 Dragons Market for 2 days. During these 2 days, Lu Chongqing visited Lu Miaoge in the spiritual talisman shop for a chat. He also took the opportunity to catch up with Yu Maoqing and Gao He. 2 days later, Lu Chongqing rode the iron feather eagle back to Qingzhou Mountain. As for the child, Lu Chongqing did not bring him. Mainly because it was really inconvenient to ride the iron feather eagle while holding the child. If there were any accidents, that would be even more problematic. So, he temporarily left the child in Nine Dragons Market, under the good care of a maid. Shortly after leaving the marketplace, Lu Chongqing suddenly sensed fluctuations from a magical battle coming from the side. He saw 3 streams of escape light entangled with each other, fighting incessantly. Xiaolong. Lu Chongqing looked at the cultivator in the lead, who was controlling a cloudy magic artifact and quickly escaping, and couldn't help but raise his eyebrow. This cultivator was his neighbor, Xiaolong brother. If you are willing to hand over the opportunity from within the Purple Shadow secret realm, in consideration of our past friendship, I can spare your life, said an elder while attacking Xiaolong with a hammer-shaped magic artifact. With him was a young man. This young man was holding a stack of talismans, continually activating them, bombarding Xiaolong chaotically, and restraining him. Lu Chongqing could tell that the elder should be in the energy refinement late stage, while the young man was only in the middle stage. Under the attack of the two, Xiaolong appeared pale, with wounds on his body, only able to continuously fending off the assaults of the two while escaping towards Nine Dragons Marketplace. To save or not to save? Upon seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng's brows furrowed slightly. Although he knew Xiaolong, his relationship with this neighbor was mediocre. They barely had any interaction beyond nodding acquaintances and some business dealings. Lu Daoist, Xia has been ambushed by these two, please lend your assistance. I will definitely reward you handsomely after this. At this moment, the pale-faced Xiaolong, who was rapidly escaping, also saw Lu Chongqing. Seeing him like spotting a life-saving straw, he immediately shouted out for help. Fellow Daoist, please do not meddle in others' affairs. The elder, seeing Xiaolong calling for Lu Changsheng's help, immediately spoke in a stern voice. Oh. Today, I think I will meddle in this affair. Lu Chongqing initially hesitated about getting involved, contemplating taking advantage of the situation. But upon seeing the elder, he decided that he was going to intervene. Because he somewhat recognized this elder, who was the shop owner of a spiritual talisman store called Little Symbol Hole. When he first arrived at Nine Dragons Market, he had been looking for a spiritual talisman shop to sell his talismans. He had sold talismans twice at Little Symbol Hall, and after the second sale, the other party tracked him with marked spirit stones. All these incidents, Lu Chongqing remembered them well. Now in this situation, he felt no psychological burden to act. No sooner had he spoken, Lu Chongqing slapped his storage bag, and the green-faced sword was unsheathed. Turning into a stream of green-gold light, the radiance of the sword surged as it flew slashing towards the middle-stage young man. Songer, be careful. The elder, seeing the sharp flying sword suddenly attacking, immediately shouted a warning. Knowing his grandson was in danger from this unanticipated strike, he activated a talisman, which turned into a layer of azure light shield, enveloping the young man. Thank you, Lu Daoist. Xiaolong also saw Lu Changsheng's intervention, his expression instantly became one of relief, and then turned fierce as he stopped fleeing. A green talisman appeared in his hand, which he used on himself to temporarily stop the bleeding. He then commanded his magic artifact, attacking the elder at the energy refinement late stage. Clang! The green-faced sword struck the light shield surrounding the young man, immediately darkening its spiritual light and covering it with dense cracks. However, at the same moment, Lu Chongqing released 2 talismans from his hand. Superior grade talismans, Thunder Summoning Talisman. Boom! Boom! The 2 talismans erupted with purple lightning, turning into 2 ferocious thunderbolts, striking at the young man and the elder. Under the onslaught of the thunder summoning talismans, the already fragile azure light shield shattered instantly. But in that instant, the young man's magical robe fluttered loudly, letting out a thunderous roar. Another layer of aqua blue and emerald light shields instantly emerged, covering his body, fending off the Thunder Talisman's attack. "Well, looks like he's quite wealthy," remarked Lu Chongqing, somewhat surprised. He had not expected the young man to have two protective magic artifacts on him. But reflecting on it, it made sense, as the elder owned a spiritual talisman shop. Even if it was just a small shop, its wealth was incomparable to that of an average cultivator. With a thought, he focused his mental spirit and had the green-faced sword's radiance continue its surge with relentless sword chi, attacking the young man. Seeing this, the young man brought out an umbrella-shaped magic artifact to confront and defend against the green-faced sword, fending off its brilliance. The robe on his body continued to flutter and spread out aqua blue light, resisting the remaining waves of sword chi emitted by the green-faced sword. "Sigh, if I want a quick battle, I'll have to rely on Talisman C tactics." Seeing this, Lu Chongqing knew that without revealing all his capabilities, it wouldn't be easy to end the battle swiftly. He then took out more than 10 middle-grade talismans and activated them directly. The talismans instantly transformed into clouds of fire, frost, and wind blades, rushing maniacally towards the young man. "Grandfather, save me!" The young man was no match for Lu Chongqing, and now, seeing Lu Chongqing use so many talismans, his complexion drastically changed as he cried out to the elder. Meanwhile, he extended his umbrella-shaped magic artifact in front of himself, rotating it to spread a faint glimmer, reluctantly bringing out a superior-grade talisman and activating it, causing a golden light shield to appear around him to withstand Lu Changsheng's talisman assault. Songer, retreat. Chapter 186, System Panel Activation. Lottery. _4 The elder who was entangled with Xiao Long saw this scene and his face also turned ugly. He knew that if they continued to fight, neither he nor his grandson were matches for Xiao Long and Lu Chongqing. He had no choice but to abandon the easy prey and gestured to his grandson to retreat quickly. "Think you can escape?" Too late. As Lu Chongqing saw the two trying to flee, he spurred the green-faced sword into action and also took out two superior-grade talismans, directing them to kill the young man. After all, since he had already taken action, how could he possibly let them get away? If he let them get away, wouldn't he still have to worry about being targeted for revenge later on? Superior Grade Talisman, Thunder Summoning Talisman. Superior Grade Talisman, Binding Body Talisman. At the same time, a golden fierce sword light burst forth from his fingertips. 7 Luminary Sword Light. Facing Lu Changsheng's flying sword assault, as well as over a dozen middle-grade talismans, the young man was already struggling to defend and could barely hold on using his talisman magic artifacts. Now the Thunder Summoning Talisman and Binding Body Talisman struck, directly blasting his shield magic artifact hovering in the void and shattering the protective light shield around him, leaving him bound in place. Spurt. Spurt. The green-faced sword and 7 luminary sword light, upon breaking through the light shield, decapitated the young man and pierced through his chest. Songer. The elder, who was preparing to flee, saw his grandson killed and his eyes instantly reddened and cracked with fury. "I'm going to fight you with everything I've got." With eyes red with rage, the elder glared at Lu Chongqing and pulled out a dull, pigeon egg-sized orb from his storage bag, flinging it towards Lu Chongqing. At the same time, he activated several talismans and formed hand seals for the spiritual art, unleashing a set of flying needle magical instruments to attack Lu Chongqing. "Lu Daoist, be careful, that orb contains a Yin Thunder Child." As soon as Xiao Long saw the gray orb, he immediately shouted a warning. He immediately formed hand seals for the spiritual art and took control of his magic artifact to kill the elder, trying to seize the opportunity to finish him off. Yin Thunder Child. Lu Chongqing was startled when he heard this. The Yin Thunder Child was similar to the Heavenly Thunder Pearl, a one-time treasure. Though not as powerful as the Heavenly Thunder Pearl, it was comparable to a strike from someone at the Foundation establishment stage. He quickly took out 3 golden light barrier talismans and his supreme talisman, stacking 3 layers of defense for himself and the iron feather eagle, covered with streams of golden light. Damn it! The elder was not only furious but also felt utterly aggrieved when he saw Lu Chongqing using the talismans in such a manner. He knew with this setup, even the Yin Thunder Child wouldn't be able to kill Lu Chongqing. If the fight continued, judging by the methods Lu Chongqing had shown, only the elder himself would end up dead. Cough cough. You killed my grandson, I swear this vendetta will not rest, one day I will make you pay with blood for this debt of blood. The elder's eyes shone with hatred, and he roared in a hoarse voice. Immediately, he used the flying needle magical instrument to detonate the Yin Thunder Child mixed within the orb, trying to take the chance to escape. Boom! In the sky, a terrifyingly violent black thunder light erupted. It unleashed waves of terrifying and wild aftershocks. Boom boom boom. Under the terrifying onslaught of the aftershocks from the Yin Thunder Child, 2 layers of Lu Changsheng's golden light barrier talismans were directly breached. Although he was unharmed, the iron feather eagle under his feet cried out in panic, flapping its wings wildly and causing Lu Chongqing to become unstable. Every time there's a fight, it's always like this. Seeing the state of the iron feather eagle, Lu Chongqing frowned, knowing that once again the eagle was in a state of shock. He immediately took out a flying artifact from his storage bag and dismounted the iron feather eagle to stand on the flying artifact. He then looked towards the fleeing elder, wanting to pursue and eradicate him completely. Cough cough cough. Meanwhile, Xiao Long, who had just been blasted by the aftershocks of the Yin Thunder Child's explosion, was wounded and bloodied, his breath weak. His whole body was tottering in the air, looking like he might fall off his magic artifact at any moment. Xia Daoist. Lu Chongqing glanced at him. Lu Daoist, fine. Xiao Long coughed twice and weakly waved his hand to indicate he was all right. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing nodded and rode the flying artifact, manifesting the 7 luminary sword escape, transforming into a streak of escape light that shot out, chasing after the elder. With the elder in sight, Lu Chongqing no longer hit his cultivation level. He drove the green-face sword with all his might, causing the sword to gleam brightly and emit the sound of dragons and cranes, sealing off the elder's path of escape. At the same time, 2 talismans appeared in his hand. Superior Grade Talisman, Soul-Shaking Talisman. Supreme Talisman, Thunder Talisman. What? Facing the fierce attack of the green-face sword, the elder was severely shocked and attempted to defend using his magic artifact. But immediately following that, the sudden effect of the soul-shaking talisman caused his mental spirit to falter, his brain momentarily went blank, and his movements halted. However, he had a magic artifact on him that quickly cleared his mind and restored his senses. But just as he was regaining his senses, he saw an overwhelming and violent torrent of endless thunder light, like a thunder dragon, rolling towards him. No! The elder, seeing the approaching thunder light, had no choice but to desperately activate his spiritual energy shield and protective magic artifact. The next moment, the endless thunder light engulfed the elder. Then, the thunder light vanished. While the elder was not yet dead, his body was scorched black, he was spitting blood, and he wobbled on the verge of falling. Spurt! With a cold flash, the green-faced sword radiated a fierce and domineering light, severing the old man's body in 2. Chapter 187, The Heavenly Longevity Technique, Great Dream Immortal City. _1, if I didn't use talisman treasures or talismans, relying solely on my own strength, it wouldn't be so simple to kill a cultivator at the energy refinement late stage. Lu Chongqing gazed at the elderly man he had slain, feeling an immense calm within. Pfft! A flame bullet technique manifested in his palm and shot towards the elder's charred body, burning the corpse to ashes. Lu Chongqing then reached out with a large hand, and his spiritual force palm collected the old man's storage bag into his own possession. When Lu Changxing returned to his original spot, he saw Xiao Long was no longer in the air, having descended to the ground to rest. He was already severely injured before, relying on a secret technique to suppress his wounds. But the attack from Yin Thunderchild caused all his severe injuries to erupt, becoming even more critical. His entire body was emanating an air of death, giving off the impression of a lamp running out of oil. Cough cough cough, thank you, Lu Daoist, for saving my life, please accept Xiao's bow. Xiao Long sat on the ground, coughing up black blood and slightly bowing to Lu Changxing as a gesture of thanks. Then, with trembling hands, he took out 2 storage bags from his garment and said, Lu Daoist, now that I am on the verge of death, what I cannot let go of the most are my children in the mortal world. If possible, I hope Lu Daoist can take care of my son. This is all my wealth, including a foundation establishment spirit object and chances I've obtained from the Purple Shadow secret realm. Take them as your reward. Xiao Long handed over the storage bags to Lu Changxing, speaking in a feeble tone. He was very clear about his present condition, teetering on the brink of death. Unless there was a precious elixir or a medical expert to prolong his life. But now, with neither condition feasible, there was only the road to death. He even worried whether Lu Changxing might covet his wealth. It would be better to offer everything he had on his person of his own volition. To beseech Lu Changxing to look after his children. Although he wasn't very familiar with Lu Changxing. They had only had sporadic contact and a few dealings in the past. However, based on their interactions and Lu Changxing's timely assistance, Xiao Long felt that he was a decent person, righteous in character. Take care of your children. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing's brow furrowed slightly. He had previously heard from Xiao Long that he had a family in the mortal world, including a pair of children. He had fought so hard, hunting demon beasts and exploring ancient ruins not only to seek a chance at foundation establishment but also to pave the way for his son. Unexpectedly, facing death, Xiao Long was still preoccupied with his children. Ah, what trouble you've brought upon yourself, Xiao Daoist. Lu Changxing sighed softly. In his view, if Xiao Long hadn't been so desperate, given his cultivation level, he would surely have led a more than comfortable life. If Lu Daoist is unwilling, then let it be. Consider these things a token of gratitude for saving my life. The pale Xiao Long said with bitterness in his voice. Ah, the love of a parent is indeed hard to fathom. Looking at the once resolute and steady Xiao Long, who was now pale and pitiful with eyes filled with pleading, Lu Changxing sighed again. The dying request of a Daoist, it's hard for Lu to refuse. But Lu himself is in a situation, as you know, Xiao brother, where I truly have no time to care for others. I can only deliver your ashes back home. If you have any last words or instructions, I can pass them on for you. Lu Changxing spoke. He himself had many children to support and take care of. Where would he find the time to look after another person's children? Moreover, he remembered Xiao Long mentioning that his children were not that young anymore. Thank you, Lu Daoist. Xiao Long, upon hearing this, felt somewhat dejected. But he also understood that this was human nature. For Lu Changxing to be willing to do this was already more than enough. He immediately began to arrange his affairs. He told Lu Changxing about his family in the mortal world and the matters he wanted to pass on. He also mentioned that in the house he rented in the Nine Dragons Market, there was a set of a first-grade superior 5-element formation called Heavenly Canopy 5 Elements Formation, which could trap enemies and block qi. Lu Changxing could take it when the time came. Underneath the small tree in the courtyard, another storage bag was buried, containing 300 spirit stones for emergencies. He hoped that these spirit stones could be delivered to his son by Lu Changxing. After concluding his final instructions, Xiao Long seemed to deflate, closed his eyes, and collapsed powerlessly to the ground. Xiao brother, rest easy. I will give the spirit stones to your son. Lu Chongqing looked at Xiao Long's body in front of him and sighed softly. A gentleman loves money but obtains it in a proper way. He didn't see himself as a paragon of virtue. But in this situation, for these 300 spirit stones, he was still willing to send them back. Just then, Xiao Long's eyes opened slightly. With a frail voice, he whispered, "My daughter is also of age to be in the bridal chamber. If Lu Daoist is interested, you may take her as a concubine." Having spoken his last, he finally breathed no more. This Xia Daoist really devoted himself to laying out a path for his son. Even at the moment of death, his heart was more preoccupied with his son, thinking of marrying his daughter to me, also in the hopes that I would look after her. Lu Chongqing looked at Xiao Long, shaking his head and speaking with emotion. Xiao Long indeed had a pair of children, but in his final instructions, the focus was mainly on his son. He mentioned that his son would turn 12 next year, hoping to be accepted into an immortal sect. He wanted Lu Chongqing to pass on certain instructions on his behalf, and even this last statement, in Lu Chongqing's view, was for the sake of his son. These sorts of matters were not for Lu Chongqing to judge or comment on. Looking at Xiao Long's body, once sure he was dead, Lu Chongqing cast a flame bullet technique, reducing Xiao Long to ashes. Then he took out a jade box, slightly raised his hand, and gathered the ashes into the box. Just now Xiao Long mentioned the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. He was coming from there when he encountered treachery. Chapter 188, The Heavenly Longevity Technique, Great Dream Immortal City. The Purple Shadow Secret Realm has ended now, and I don't know if anyone from the Lu family has come out alive or gained any treasures. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. Just now, Xiao Long asked him to tell his son not to seek revenge. Lu Chongqing also took the opportunity to ask about the situation in the Purple Shadow Secret Realm. He learned that this time, the death rate inside had reached a staggering 60 to 70%. Originally, Xiao Long had entered with a team of 6, but in the end, only 2 came out. One of them was the owner of the small talisman shop just now. It turned out that on the way back, the owner of the shop suddenly attacked Xiao Long, leading to the scene Lu Chongqing had witnessed. This made Lu Chongqing sigh at how money could move people's hearts. He was also worried about the situation of the Lu family. Without further thought, Lu Chongqing found the body of the young man from earlier, collected his magic artifacts and storage bag. He then used the beast control token to recall the frightened iron feather eagle and put it into the spiritual pet bag. Taking out an escape talisman, he left the area, found a cave, and began to tally his gains. The Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique. To steal the vitality of heaven and earth for oneself. Lu Chongqing, after looking through the storage bag of Xiao Long, found a green jade slip and was startled by its contents. It contained a cultivation method called Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique. It allowed one to ignore innate talent. As long as one cultivated step by step, one could eventually achieve core formation and nascent soul without any bottlenecks. Moreover, at the foundation establishment stage, one would possess a 300-year lifespan, at core formation, 800 years, and at nascent soul stage, 2,000 years. Of course, as formidable as this technique was, it also had a particularly harsh condition and a serious flaw. First, to cultivate the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique, one needed to find a spirit plant of heaven and earth. Then, this spirit plant had to be refined into one's life-bound spiritual root. After that, the planter had to cultivate and nurture this spirit plant. With the help of the spirit plant, one could draw essence from heaven and earth, endless vitality, to nourish oneself. This would allow the cultivator of this technique to ignore their own innate talent, cultivate without any bottlenecks, and practice all the way to the nascent soul stage. Furthermore, their lifespan would far surpass that of cultivators at the same realm. A spirit plant that can be called a treasure of heaven and earth must at least be a third-rank spirit plant. To sustain such a plant, it must at least be planted above a second-grade spirit vein. And if one wishes to cultivate a third-rank spirit plant to perfection, to draw the essence of heaven and earth, endless vitality, then it must be planted in a land with a third-rank spirit vein. Moreover, once the spirit plant is planted, in order to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique, the cultivator cannot stray too far from the plant, effectively being bound to one place. Even if one meets these harsh conditions and cultivates the heaven and earth longevity technique, it also incredibly limited. Because the heaven and earth longevity technique is solely for the purpose of cultivation longevity, forsaking all offensive and defensive capabilities. All mana is used for nurturing the flesh and soul, leaving oneself without any combat ability. Even if one breaks through to the core formation stage, combat ability would only be comparable to the foundation establishment stage, and after breaking through to the nascent soul stage, it would only be comparable to the core formation stage. Lu Chongqing looked at the recorded technique within the jade slip and couldn't help but shake his head. This technique was truly against the heavens. It allowed one to ignore the quality of their spiritual roots and cultivate to the nascent soul stage without any bottlenecks. And the lifespan is double that of peers at the same realm. But the conditions for cultivation were also extremely harsh. And its flaw was very apparent. Once cultivated, there would be no spells or abilities to protect oneself. On the path of cultivation, there are countless hardships. If there is no divine protection or skills for battle, what use is a longer life? Sooner or later, it will end with both body and path perishing. This heaven and earth longevity technique is only suitable for the powerful and their kin within the cultivation world, who have protection, do not need to fight with others, and can live peacefully in their own haven. Otherwise, for ordinary cultivators, this method's harsh conditions alone are enough to make one give up, let alone achieve successful cultivation. Lu Chongqing exclaimed aloud. But the next moment, Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed as if had thought of something. Although the heaven and earth longevity technique is not suitable for me, it's quite suitable for the likes of Jinjin and Miaoyun, even the children like Xiaoqi, who could cultivate this heaven and earth longevity technique in the future. As long as I become a nascent soul immortal or a nascent soul true lord, I can provide such conditions for cultivation, offer them a pure land, and let them practice the heaven and earth longevity technique. Lu Chongqing suddenly thought to himself. For himself, with the backing of a system, Lu Chongqing was confident that his future cultivation would be unhindered. But for his wives and children, it was difficult. Chu Xinjin, with an 8th-grade spiritual root, had taken many years just to break through to the second level of energy refinement. Lu Miaoyun, although she had a 7th-grade spiritual root and was at the 4th level of energy refinement when she married him. But because of childbirth and taking care of the children, her cultivation progressed very slowly. She is still at the peak of the 4th level of energy refinement. She had almost given up on cultivation. As for Lu Xianji, Lu Chuanjin, and the other children, they had spiritual roots, but all were lower-grade spiritual roots. Lu Chongqing did not believe that he had the ability to nurture all these children, so they could establish foundation and form their cores in the future. Now seeing this heaven and earth longevity technique, he felt that once he had the conditions, he could definitely let his wives and daughters cultivate this technique. It would make their cultivation path much simpler in the future. And he didn't need his wives and children to fight in battles. This matter is still too far off for me right now. I must at least become a core formation true monarch and possess a land with my own spirit vein. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and let it out, refusing to think further on this matter. Chapter 189, The Heavenly Longevity Technique, Great Dream Immortal City. Thinking about this now is still too early. However, the heavenly longevity technique added an urgency to his cultivation practice. Then, Lu Chongqing continued to sort through the 3 people's storage bags. After a long while, The storage bags of the three were sorted. There were 1,256 spirit stones. One piece of physical foundation establishment spiritual object. One top-grade magic artifact. 4 high-grade magic artifacts. 7 middle-grade magic artifacts. 1 second-grade middle-class puppet. 3 second-grade lower-class puppets. Over 100 talismans. Various elixir medicines. A number of spirit plants and spiritual medicines. Xiao Long and the owner of this small talisman shop must have gone to explore the secret realm, exchanging all their spirit stones for elixir medicines, talismans, or treasures like the Lockhart goo. As a result, they didn't carry many spirit stones on them. However, these magic artifacts, talismans, puppets, and spirit plant materials should be worth a few thousand spirit stones. After sorting through their belongings, Lu Chongqing held a brocade box and said. Inside the brocade box was a fist-sized, bright red fruit with blood-red patterns flowing on it, which was quite mysterious. And with this blood-yang fruit, a foundation establishment spiritual object that helps break through the third barrier of foundation establishment, blood-chi barrier. I also gathered all the foundation establishment spiritual objects required for the 3 barriers of foundation establishment. It's just a pity that I don't have the main ingredient for the foundation establishment elixir, the heavenly spirit fruit, otherwise my foundation establishment elixir would have been settled. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. Previously, he had learned about the foundation establishment elixir. Thinking that he might be able to refine it if he advances to second rank in alchemy in the future. But after understanding more, he realized he was being overly optimistic. The difficulty of refining the foundation establishment elixir was one thing. The hardest part was gathering the materials for the elixir, especially the main ingredient, the heavenly spirit fruit. This heavenly spirit fruit is only consistently produced within the Purple Shadow secret realm. It's very rare elsewhere. This is also why the Purple Shadow secret realm is controlled by the major immortal sects. Foundation establishment elixirs seldom make it to the outside world. Soon after, Lu Chongqing took a short break to allow the Iron Feather Eagle to recover, and then he rode it back to the 9 Dragons Market. He planned to clean out Xiao Long's belongings. This time, he didn't use his real appearance but disguised himself as an ordinary-looking, simple-minded young man. Following Xiao Long's instructions on the formation, Lu Chongqing entered Xiao Long's home and dismantled the Heavenly Canopy 5 Elements formation in his yard. This high-grade formation was also worth over 1,000 spirit stones. Then, according to Xiao Long's words, he dug out another storage bag from beneath a tree in the yard. It contained 300 spirit stones. Lu Chongqing also took a look around the house. He collected a few of Xiao Long's belongings as keepsakes for his wives and children. After finishing up, Lu Chongqing left the 9 Dragons Square. He didn't immediately go to Xiao Long's mortal family. Instead, he went home first. His 60th child was due in about half a month. 2 days later, Lu Chongqing returned to Qingzhou Mountain without any issues. After chatting with Lu Miaoyun, Lu Chongqing learned that Lu Yuanshan, who was sent by the Lu family to the Purple Shadow secret realm, had returned. But he came back missing an arm. Of the 2 Lu family disciples who went with him, only Lu Miaoquan returned. Lu Miaofa did not return, having fallen in the Purple Shadow secret realm. As for the gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm, Lu Miaoyun didn't know either. If Lu Yuanshan didn't acquire the heavenly spirit fruit in the Purple Shadow secret realm, then this would be a substantial loss for the Lu family, Lu Chongqing thought upon hearing this news. A cultivator like Lu Yuanshan, once missing an arm, would see a significant decrease in combat capability. And with a damaged body, impacting his foundation establishment chances, he'd likely have no future prospects of achieving foundation establishment. And an elite scion like Lu Miaofa, such talents are few within the entire Lu family. They are the core of the family's combat strength and the seedlings for foundation establishment. Each loss represented a great loss for the Lu family. About these matters, Lu Chongqing didn't dwell on them too much. This sort of thing is not up to him to concern himself with or worry about. He was simply watching to see if the Lu family would have any new foundation-building great cultivators emerge within the next 2 years. If not, it would indicate that Lu Yuanshan probably didn't harvest much in the Purple Shadow secret realm. Or to put it another way, the cultivators the Lu family was preparing to advance to foundation establishment had failed to break through. A few years from now, the chances of a new foundation-building great cultivator emerging would also be slim. Meanwhile, on the northern boundary of Jiang country, Great Dream Marsh. Above the endless waters, a pretty girl in a purple dress was maneuvering a flying artifact, and then suddenly stopped. In front of her was a small island, on top of which stood a towering and majestic city, brimming with spiritual light. The city walls stretch beyond sight. Only through the spiritual light can one faintly see the circles of walls within, and buildings that resemble mountains. Around the city gates, numerous cultivators, some on sword flight, some on flying boats, and some riding spiritual beasts as mounts, created a dazzling scene. There were even powerful breaths flying through the sky, indicating their status as foundation-building great cultivators, causing other cultivators to consciously make way. Now that I already have the main ingredient for the foundation establishment elixir, the heavenly spirit fruit. The 2 auxiliary ingredients that I lack can be entirely purchased in this Great Dream Immortal City. Once all the materials are gathered, this Great Dream Immortal City will have a second-rank alchemist capable of refining foundation establishment elixir. Then I can have him refine the foundation establishment elixir for me. Meng Xiaochan descended from the flying artifact and walked toward the city's main entrance. On the city gate, several tens of zhang high, were the 4 large characters Great Dream Immortal City boldly inscribed. They involuntarily inspired a sense of simplicity and a vast, majestic aura. I've heard that this Chen Ping, the alchemist, can produce at least 1 foundation establishment elixir each time he lights the oven. Normally, he can make 2 foundation establishment elixirs, and if luck serves, even 3. Meng Xiaochan thought about how her foundation establishment elixir was soon to be secured. In that moment, an image of a handsome, upright young man appeared in her mind. When he attempts to break through to foundation establishment in the days to come, he will surely need a foundation establishment elixir too. If I give him one then, he would certainly be very pleased, wouldn't he? But what reason should I use to give him the foundation establishment elixir? As far as I know, he's quite a flirt and has many wives and concubines. If I give him the foundation establishment elixir, what am I to do if he then proposes and asks me to become his Tao companion? Meng Xiaocan's mood suddenly became indecisive, and her cheeks bloomed with a flush. At that time, should I accept or not? If I agree straight away, wouldn't it seem too hasty and make me look undignified? Meng Xiaocan's heart raced in that moment, like a deer in chaos, as she instinctively covered her flushed cheeks with her hands. Her mind raced with thoughts of the potential scene. And then, in the next moment, Meng Xiaochan suddenly shook herself sharply. Fear flashed through her eyes. No, I must break through to foundation establishment as soon as possible, or else the influence of the Lockhart goo will become more severe on me. Meng Xiaochan bit her lip, pointed a finger at her forehead, and her eyes shone with determination. Half a month later, Lu Changsheng's 60th child was born. There's no gift money. Lu Chongqing saw that the child was born without hearing about any gift money from the system, and he felt somewhat disappointed. In the past, for every 10 children born, he would get a lottery draw. But now that it was gone, he couldn't help feeling a bit let down, given his anticipation. Well, if it's gone, it's gone. After all, I had already guessed that it couldn't always be like this, relying on spending energy to have kids in order to gain the rewards. Lu Chongqing exhaled lightly, soon coming to terms with it in his heart. In this regard, He had long expected that this path of gaining rewards through childbearing would reach its limit sooner or later. And when it reached that limit, he would have to cultivate his children more and uplift himself in other ways. Since relying on having many children to farm rewards isn't viable anymore, it's about time I practice more selective and quality breeding. Lu Chongqing pondered in his heart. In the last 3 years, he had almost directly had 40 children, more than in the previous 5 years. Aside from relying on a sea of children to hit the jackpot, Lu Chongqing didn't deny that he also liked the idea of gaming the system by breeding. Now that the difficulty of gaming rewards through children had increased, and the cost-performance ratio had decreased, Lu Chongqing felt it was also time to slow down that pace a bit. And focus on having children primarily with wives and concubines who had spiritual roots. Over the years, he was quite satisfied with the probability of children born to wives and concubines with spiritual roots inheriting them as well. This approach would also allow him more time and energy to concentrate on cultivation. After all, frequent childbearing also affected his cultivation speed to some extent. Chapter 190, Father's Friend. _1 Yunzhou, Taiyan County Town. So this is where Xiao Long settled his children. Lu Chongqing gazed at the ordinary courtyard before him. Because Xiao Long was often adventuring away from home, he had made some enemies. Therefore, he did not keep his children by his side. He settled them in the secular world and hired an old servant to take care of them. Thump thump thump. Lu Chongqing stepped forward and knocked on the door. Soon, the door creaked open. Young master, whom are you looking for? The door was opened by a girl dressed in a pale blue silk dress. She appeared to be about 15 or 16, with a slightly green, melon-seed face and a delicate figure, brimming with youthful vitality. Lu Chongqing immediately recognized that the girl before him possessed some cultivation. But her cultivation level was only at the second layer of qi practice. Is this Xiao Long's daughter? Who would have thought Xiao Long, with his thick eyebrows and large eyes, would have such a beautiful daughter? Lu Chongqing felt a slight surprise in his heart. He then smiled and said, "May I ask if this is Xiao Guang's home?" Xiao Long's real name was Xiao Guang, and Xiao Long was just an alias. "Yes, sir." "Are you here to see my father for something?" the girl asked upon hearing him. "I am a friend of Xiao Guang and have been entrusted by him to come here." Lu Chongqing spoke softly. "My father's friend. Hereby his entrusting." The girl paused slightly upon hearing this. She immediately invited Lu Chongqing into the courtyard. In the courtyard, there was also an old man with gray hair, dressed in a gray long robe. "Miss, who is this?" The old man saw Lu Chongqing and immediately his expression tightened, his eyes revealing a cautious look as he inquired. Lu Chongqing knew that this old man was the servant Xiao Long had arranged for his children. This old servant had not cultivated but was trained in martial arts. He was a martial Dao innate master. "This young master is a friend of father's, here on father's entrustment," Xia Zizhu said clearly. The master's friend. The old servant still harbored a cautious look after hearing this. "Rest assured, my visit is indeed about affairs entrusted by Xiao Guang," Lu Chongqing saw the old man's caution and said blandly. He lifted his hand slightly, and a ball of flame puff appeared, heating the air around them. "It turns out we're in the presence of an immortal master. My apologies for the offense, please forgive me." Seeing this skill from Lu Chongqing, the old servant no longer doubted and bowed in greeting. "I wonder what affair father has entrusted to the senior." After leading Lu Chongqing to the living room, Xia Zizhu pressed her lips together, her expression a mix of nervousness and hope. Her father seldom brought any friends home, nor had he asked friends to visit. This unexpected commission filled her with an ominous premonition. Lu Chongqing sighed softly upon seeing the girl's expression. He took out Xiao Long's urn from the storage bag. Xiao Long met with misfortune while competing for an opportunity outside and passed away. Before his death, he entrusted me with some affairs, asking me to inform you and your brother. Lu Chongqing spoke out loud. How can this be? The girl, struck as if by lightning, turned pale as her usually bright and tender face lost all color, feeling icy cold in her hands and feet. Father! Then, with a face full of grief and sorrow, she cried out woefully and fell to the ground, powerless. Take solace in conformity to fate. Lu Chongqing promptly supported the soft body of the girl. In his heart, he also took this as a warning. One must be more cautious in life and actions. Otherwise, in case of an unforeseen incident, the situation Xiao Long found himself in would be a sobering precedent. Father lied to me. You clearly said that after this year, you would stop adventuring and stay home to accompany me and my brother. How could you be gone? The girl's face, filled with sorrow, presented a pitiful and tearful sight, her lips trembling. After a moment, she realized that she was somewhat uncontrolled and hastily wiped away her tears. Her face slightly flushed, she bowed gracefully to Lu Chongqing, saying, "Thank you, Senior, for understanding my loss of composure. It's all right, such emotions are natural for anyone." Lu Chongqing sighed lightly. If she hadn't shown any grief or sorrow, he wouldn't have known what to say. Seeing the girl's mood start to stabilize, Lu Chongqing began to convey Xiao Long's last words and affairs. At this time, Xia Zizhu also called back her brother, Xia Zhaoyang. Xia Zhaoyang was 11 years old this year, becoming increasingly handsome. Dressed in a light green scholar's robe, he had an air of scholarly elegance. He bore a resemblance to his father, Xiao Long, but they differed greatly in temperament. Lu Chongqing guessed that Xiao Long had fought his way up on his journey. Therefore, he took great care to protect his son. He didn't want his son to follow his own path. Hopefully, in the future, he could enter an immortal sect and cultivate peacefully. Learning of his father's demise, Xia Zhaoyang too was deeply grieved. But his character was resolute, and he bowed in gratitude to Lu Chongqing. Then, Lu Chongqing took out a few of Xiao Long's personal items, and a storage bag containing 300 spirit stones, and handed them to the siblings. Now that Xiao Long's entrusted matters are fully conveyed, I shall take my leave. Having finished explaining the matters, Lu Chongqing turned to depart. Thank you, Senior, for returning my father's belongings and ashes. Such a great kindness leaves us, brother and sister, without the means to repay. I am willing to become a servant or maid to repay this debt of gratitude to the Senior. At this moment, with lips lightly pursed and eyes brimming with tears, Xia Zizhu knelt resolutely before Lu Chongqing and said, "There's no need for that. Xiao Long has already compensated me for this matter," Lu Chongqing replied, reaching out to help the girl up. But she was stubborn, seemingly unwilling to rise unless Lu Chongqing agreed. Now, my brother and I are all alone in this world, and it's difficult to survive. I hope, for my father's sake, you can look after my brother a bit. I am willing to serve you as a servant or maid, to labor like an ox or horse, to repay this debt of gratitude." The girl looked up at Lu Chongqing with a pitiful and touching gaze. Chapter 191, Father's Friend. She was very clear in her heart that now with her father gone, she and her brother were on their own. Survival might not be jeopardized, but the future pursuit of cultivation would be extremely difficult. Although they had inherited some wealth, that wealth could also become a danger. Moreover, it was uncertain whether her father had enemies out there. Since her father had entrusted their matters to the man before her, Lu Chongqing, and Lu Chongqing did not covet their wealth, it proved his character was trustworthy. Therefore, under such circumstances, after briefly considering it in her mind, she decided to offer herself to Lu Chongqing as a servant or a maid. The man before her, Lu Chongqing, was not only her father's good friend and a cultivator, but he was also reliable in character. He was also handsome and elegant like a charming young noble, causing her no discomfort and even a favorable impression. If she were to serve by Lu Changsheng's side, it would not only resolve her and her brother's predicament, but also allow her to look after her brother in the future. Lu Changsheng looked at Xia Zhiyue and after a brief moment of contemplation, he said, "Let's do this. I can send you to a good friend's place to stay for now. Wait until Qingyun sect's Immortal sect examination begins. I'll come over and take your brother to the Qingyun sect to participate. If you need anything during this time, you can also send a message to me. As for serving as a slave or maid, there's no need. If you insist on it, I could take you as my concubine," Lu Changxing said. Xia Zhiyue, standing before him, was beautiful with a spiritual root and no complex family background to cause trouble. For him to take her as a concubine was naturally no issue. Xia Long had mentioned too that he could take his daughter as a concubine. But Xia Zhiyue still had a brother. If he took Xia Zhiyue away, he couldn't possibly neglect Xia Zhaoyang. Judging by Xia Zhaoyang's current behavior, his character was acceptable and not troublesome. But bringing Xia Zhaoyang back to Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Changxing felt it was not good, not convenient. Thus, Lu Changxing thought to send the siblings to Rui Prefecture first and ask Hong Yi to look after them, and to observe their characters. If their characters proved to be fine, he could take Zhiyue as his concubine later on. Moreover, from Xia Long's last words, his son had an excellent spiritual root, almost certain to be accepted into the Immortal sects. If Xia Zhaoyang entered the Immortal sects in the future, he himself would have another connection. After all, he long preferred a secluded life, which inevitably led to scarcity of information. Having a younger brother-in-law in the sects could provide more sources of information on major affairs. "Thank you, senior." Upon hearing this, Xia Zhiyue immediately bowed to Lu Changxing with grateful joy on her face. She also pulled Xia Zhaoyang along to bow deeply to Lu Changxing. The little lady also wishes to simply handle father's funeral and arrange for him to be buried next to mother. At that moment, Xia Zhiyue pressed her lips together and continued to speak. "It's no trouble, I can stay here for a few days, and you can handle whatever you need," Lu Changxing nodded and said. "Thank you, Uncle Lu." Xia Zhiyue once again bowed to Lu Changxing. Her address changed from young noble to senior and now to uncle. Lu Changxing didn't mind this much. He waved his hand and had Xia Zhiyue arrange a room for him. The secular world's spiritual energy is really too sparse. Without a spirit-gathering array or elixir medicines like spirit stones, cultivation is simply too slow. After attempting meditation, Lu Changxing slightly shook his head and took out 2 spirit stones. In the blink of an eye, 7 days passed. During these days, Xia Zhiyue and her brother started to take care of their father's funeral and such. Lu Changxing, having nothing better to do, also lent a hand. After all, the siblings had a tough time by themselves. Everything went smoothly. After the simple proceedings were done, Xia Zhiyue expressed her intention to follow Lu Changsheng's prior arrangements. "Rest well today, and well set out riding tomorrow," Lu Changxing said. That night. While meditating, Lu Changxing opened his eyes as he heard some noise. It was the sound of light footsteps. He sensed a little and knew the person was Xia Zhiyue. "It seems this girl is still worried, huh?" Lu Changxing inwardly guessed her purpose for coming. But he also admired her decisiveness. "Uncle Lu, have you rested?" A moment later, Xia Ziyu's soft and clear voice came from outside the door. "What is it?" Lu Changxing said. "Uncle Lu, Zhiyue has something she wishes to discuss with you." In the howling night wind, Xia Zhiyue, standing outside, summoned her courage, her hands clutched at her skirt, and spoke with a blushing face. Lu Changxing initially wanted to say, "Discuss it tomorrow." But considering the hardships of the young girl, She must have struggled a lot internally before mustering the courage to come here. It would be too hurtful and could undermine her initiative if he responded so abruptly. "Ah, I am indeed someone with a soft heart," Lu Chongqing sighed softly and said, "The door isn't locked." With a creak, the door opened. There stood Xia Zhiyue, with her delicate features and slight figure dressed in simple morning attire, stepping into the room. "Uncle Lu." Upon entering the room and closing the door, Xia Zhiyue called out softly. Her voice was shy but pure and attractive. "Yue, what is it that you wish to speak about?" Bathed in moonlight within the dimly lit room, Lu Chongqing stood up, gazing at Xia Zhiyue's delicate figure and said with a gentle chuckle. Xia Zhiyue, clutching the corners of her clothes, suddenly looked up, her face flushed as she rushed into Lu Changsheng's embrace. Clinging tightly to Lu Changsheng's waist, pressing herself softly against his chest, she revealed a certain matter with breath as sweet as orchids. Faced with such actions and words, Lu Chongqing no longer played the gentleman. There was no help for it, it had come to this, what else could he do? And besides, this probably was what his friend Xiao Long had hoped for in his dying moments. Chapter 192, Father's Friend. Uncle Lu, before long, the young girl tilted her neck back, her breathing quickened. Afterwards, Lu Chongqing gently caressed Xia Zhiyue, who was nestled in his arms, her face flushed red like mushy mud. Uncle Lu. Xia Zhiyue curled up in Lu Changsheng's arms, her face brilliantly red, and called out with a somewhat hoarse and sweet voice. "It's all right, just rest well." Lu Chongqing cast a cleansing technique to clean the sweat and spoke with a gentle voice. Hum. The girl had been through so many ups and downs these past few days, and had been so busy that she was already mentally exhausted. Having gone through such turmoil, she was even more worn out and soon fell asleep. "Xiao Long, my brother, you've really given me two huge gifts." Lu Chongqing looked at Xia Zhiyue's delicate face, murmuring to himself. Just now, Xia Zhiyue had divulged a piece of information to him. She mentioned that she possesses a latent physique. The probability of her future children having a spiritual root could be increased. Thus, if Lu Chongqing wished, she could bear children for him. Lu Chongqing had never had any aversion to Xia Zhiyue. Now that she had come forward willingly, revealing such information, he was even less likely to refuse. After all, such a physique was very likely the legendary spiritual body. Is it a spirit-nurturing physique, then? Lu Chongqing vaguely remembered seeing such a physical constitution among the different types of spiritual bodies. However, the specifics were unclear to him. Even Xia Zhiyue herself did not fully understand. She only knew that her mother possessed such a physique. It was the reason both she and her brother had spiritual roots. The next day, Lu Chongqing rode an iron feather eagle, taking the siblings to Rui Prefecture to find Hong Yi. It had been a few years since he last saw Hong Yi. Moreover, he had some matters to discuss with Hong Yi this trip. 4 days later, the iron feather eagle landed in a deserted place outside Rui County City. Lu Chongqing took out a communication talisman to send a message to Hong Yi. Then, he arrived in Rui County City with Xia Zhiyue and Xia Zhaoyang. "Brother Lu, long time no see, your elegance has only increased with time." Hong Yi was waiting outside Rui County City, and immediately approached with a smile upon seeing Lu Chongqing. He wore a purple gold crown and a robe of purple silk, radiating nobility and dignity. "Brother Hong seems well too." Lu Chongqing spoke with a smile as well. Over the years, he had exchanged letters with Hong Yi. Their reunion felt familiar, without any awkwardness. After making sure Xia Zhiyue and Xia Zhaoyang were well settled, the two went to the Rui Tower to catch up and chat. During the conversation, Lu Chongqing informed Hong Yi about the siblings and asked him to look after them. Hong Yi readily agreed, assuring Lu Chongqing that all would be well. At the same time, Lu Chongqing also mentioned that next year he would start sending his children to the secular world. He asked Hong Yi to help arrange for a big estate, as well as martial masters, tutors, protectors, and servants. Please rest assured, Brother Lu, I can take care of these trivial matters. Upon hearing this, Hong Yi was overjoyed. Thanks to the talisman business with Lu Chongqing, his status within the Rui Marquis mansion had risen continuously. Now, the position of the crown prince was almost within his reach. Now that Lu Chongqing was willing to settle his secular children at the Rui Marquis mansion, it showed that the tie between him and Lu Chongqing was thoroughly secure. Naturally, he was extremely happy and willing. Don't trouble yourself, Hong brother. Oh, there's one more thing I'd like to ask for your help with. Lu Chongqing then remembered Chu Zhenqian's matter. He asked Hong Yi to investigate the force behind the old man who had killed Chu Zhenqian's family, the Cultivator. Chu Zhenqian's matter was something Lu Chongqing felt he now had the ability to handle. Naturally, he wanted to solve the revenge for Chu Zhenqian. After all, she had given birth to 3 children for him, so it was the least he could do. No problem, this matter is not difficult for me. I'll handle it and will send someone to inform you immediately when there's news. Hong Yi replied confidently. Thank you, Brother Hong. I didn't bring any gifts this trip, so please accept these 3 talismans. Lu Chongqing took out 3 superior-grade talismans and handed them to Hong Yi. These matters were naturally not worth the price of 3 superior-grade talismans. However, when it came to reciprocation in relationships, he never let others feel shortchanged. Especially after dealing with Hong Yi so many times, he knew him to be a trustworthy person. So, giving a bit extra was a small price to pay for a good relationship. Brother Lu, you are being too generous. I gladly accept your kind gesture. Hong Yi accepted without any false modesty. He understood that this benefit exchange was conducive to strengthening their relationship. However, when he took the 3 talismans in his hand, he immediately felt something was amiss. After a few glances, he was somewhat surprised and looked at Lu Chongqing incredulously. Brother Lu, what are these talismans? They don't look like middle-grade ones. Could they possibly be? That's right, they are superior-grade talismans, the Golden Light Barrier Talisman, capable of blocking a strike from an energy refinement late stage. I was fortunate enough to become a superior-grade talisman master not long ago and made a few for self-defense. Lu Chongqing explained. Beyond interpersonal transactions, Lu Chongqing felt the need to subtly reveal some of his own strength and value. Only by doing so could the interaction between the two remain stable and long-lasting. Superior Grade Talisman, Golden Light Barrier Talisman. Brother Lu has advanced to a superior grade talisman master. Upon hearing this, Hong Yi was stunned and entirely amazed. His mind was filled with shock, looking at Lu Chongqing in disbelief. Initially, he had nurtured a good relationship with Lu Chongqing because he had seen Lu Chongqing's extraordinary talent in the talisman path. He had the potential to become a superior grade talisman master. He wanted to establish a relationship early on with a superior grade talisman master. It had only been 5 years, and Lu Chongqing had advanced from a lower grade talisman master to a superior grade talisman master. Such a pace was nothing short of astounding. Chapter 193, Father's Friend. _4 At this moment, Hong Yi felt immensely fortunate for the decision he had made back then. Fortunate that he made a 3-year agreement, inviting Lu Chongqing, and that he had maintained their relationship, building a good rapport. It was simply the most correct decision he had ever made in his life. Just sheer luck, I've only just begun trying, and it's very difficult to succeed, said Lu Chongqing with a smile as he waved his hand dismissively. But Hong Yi was still so shocked that he was at a loss for words. Finally swallowing hard, he spoke with deep emotion, Brother Lu's talent on the talisman path is truly exceptional. In the future, you might even become a second-grade talisman master. I never thought I, Hong Yi, could befriend a second-grade talisman master. What a great fortune across 3 lifetimes. But this talisman is too precious, Brother Lu, you should take it back, Hong Yi said reluctantly. A single superior grade talisman would cost at least 30 spirit stones. These 3 talismans represented a huge sum for him, too precious indeed. There's no reason to take back something once given, Brother Hong, just keep it. In the future, when I send my children to the secular world, I will need to rely on Brother Hong's attention to them. Lu Chongqing said. To him, the cost price of 3 superior grade talismans was merely about 10 spirit stones. Not so precious after all. All right then, I shall not refuse such generous offer, Hong Yi said, cupping his hands together in gratitude. Then he added solemnly, Brother Lu, rest assured, in the future, your nephews and nieces in the secular world will be under my watchful eye, Hong Yi. They won't lose a single hair, or else you can hold me, Hong Yi, to account. Now that Lu Chongqing had revealed his status as a superior grade talisman master, once Lu Chongqing placed his children in the Rui Marquis mansion, it would show that their relationship was rock solid. By then, his father, the Rui Marquis, could not ignore the significance of Lu Chongqing, the superior grade talisman master. He would think to befriend Lu Chongqing and build a good relationship with the superior grade talisman master. Brother Hong, you're too flattering. I only hope that these children can live peacefully and joyfully, without too many other considerations, said Lu Chongqing, shaking his head with a smile as he looked at Hong Yi. Soon after, the two chatted and reminisced. Late at night. Afterwards. Jiyue, I will be leaving in a couple of days. If there's anything, you can just send me a message, Lu Chongqing said to Xia Zizhu. He hadn't been in any rush to take Xia Zizhu back to Qingzhou Mountain. It was still his original thought. Let her take care of her younger brother in the secular world, waiting for the immortal sects to recruit disciples. As for having children, he hadn't been in a rush either. He planned to go back first to inquire and understand her constitution, whether it was the spirit-nurturing physique he thought of. Emisham. Xia Zizhu leaned against him lazily, responding faintly. 7 days later. Qingzhou Mountain. The spirit-nurturing physique can greatly increase the chance that the offspring it bears will have a spiritual root, but each childbirth will cause substantial harm to the mother's vital energy. This physique can also forcibly consume one's own cultivation origin source to nurture the fetus, enhancing the child's spiritual root potential, Lu Chongqing read from a book that detailed descriptions of the spirit-nurturing physique. Jiyue said her mother died shortly after giving birth to Xia Zhaoyang. Having a spirit-nurturing physique means possessing a spiritual root, being a cultivator. Cultivators rarely experience difficult labors or deaths during childbirth. Could it be that Xia Zhaoyang is the child her mother sacrificed her own cultivation origin source to bear? Is this the reason why Xia Long dotes on and values this son 100 times more? Lu Chongqing murmured to himself, speculating. If that's the case, it seems that having children shouldn't be taken lightly. Xia Zizhu is still too physically weak now, her cultivation level too low. If she were to have more children, it could pose serious problems. Lu Chongqing exhaled softly. Chapter 194, Trouble is Brewing, Heart Demon. _1 A month later. On this day, the family head Lu Yuanding came to look for Lu Chongqing. He listed a talisman inventory and brought a batch of talisman-making materials. He hoped that Lu Chongqing would dedicate more time in the following period to drawing talismans according to the list. Rest assured, family head. In the time to come, I will spend more time on drawing talismans. Lu Chongqing glanced at the list and nodded in agreement. He also knew that the friction between the Qin family and the Lu family had become increasingly severe. It was almost as if they were preparing for war. In such a situation, the Lu family was nearly in a state of preparing for battle. They needed to stockpile more elixir medicines, talismans, and magic artifacts for the upcoming confrontation. And at this time, as a talisman master of the Lu family, he also had the duty to contribute and support the family supplies. Alright, you will be busy during this period. Lu Yuanding patted Lu Chongqing on the shoulder and spoke in a warm voice. After saying a few words briefly, he then left without lingering. Apparently, the situation of the Lu family was so pressing that the family head himself was very busy. After Lu Yuanding left, Lu Miaoyun came to ask what the family head had come for this time. Lu Chongqing did not conceal the truth and told her straightforwardly. I heard from Grandma that not long ago, there was a minor dispute at the Spirit Stone mine jointly mined by our family and the Qin family. 3 days ago, the Great Elder took many juniors to oversee the Spirit Stone mine. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoyun spoke. Is it that serious? Lu Chongqing was somewhat surprised. He knew there had been constant friction between the Lu family and the Qin family. But he hadn't expected it to escalate to this extent. Now they had reached the point where disputes erupted, and the Great Elder had to go and oversee the situation directly. Then Lu Chongqing asked with some confusion, wasn't that Spirit Stone mine halted by the intervention of the Qingyun sect, which made a judgment to allow the Qin family and the Lu family to mine it together? How could the Qin family dare to make a move under these circumstances? Lu Chongqing knew about the Spirit Stone mine matter from more than a decade ago. At that time, the Lu family and the Qin family had fought over the mine, resulting in many casualties. It was precisely because of this that Lu Yuanding went to the Qingyun sect to recruit a son-in-law to replenish the Lu family with fresh blood. I've asked Grandma about this question too. Grandma said that the Qin family is just starting trouble in secret, finding excuses to come cause trouble, and haven't fully ignited the conflict. In this case, the Qingyun sect would not intervene or care. Lu Miaoyun said with some indignation. I see. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly. Indeed, the Qin family dares to do this because they know it won't provoke the Qingyun sect. Or rather, as long as the Qingyun sect's 40% share of profits remains unaffected, the Qingyun sect would not bother itself with the grievances and disputes between the Qin family and the Lu family. After all, no matter what happens between the Qin family and the Lu family, or even if other forces intervene, it still wouldn't affect the interests of the Qingyun sect. Lu Chongqing instantly understood the crux of the issue. In such matters, it would be difficult to rely on the Qingyun sect as the arbitrator. After all, the cultivation world at the end of the day is a place where the strong prey upon the weak. Although a certain level of reputation and face might be considered, it wouldn't go that far. The reason for the escalation between the Qin family and the Lu family might also be related to the Purple Shadow secret realm. Not long ago, Lu Yuanshan returned from the Purple Shadow secret realm, which surely caused the Qin family to be wary. Now they are making a move against the Lu family to test our attitude and to distract us. Otherwise, if a new foundation establishment Great Cultivator emerges from the Lu family, it will be the Qin family who'll be restless. Lu Chongqing thought to himself, tentatively guessing why the matter had escalated so quickly. If so, the grudge between the Qin family and the Lu family will likely escalate with the frictions and lead to an outbreak. One even fiercer than the battle between the Lu family and the Qin family 10 years ago. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. The grudge between the Qin family and the Lu family, which started 10 years ago, showed no signs of reconciliation. Over the years, there had been no indications of any truce. Just like previously, when he was accompanying Lu Yuanding back to Qingzhou Mountain, they had encountered an assassination by the Qin family. Originally, I thought that with the Lu family ancestor around, there would be peace for at least the next 2 to 3 years, but the turmoil has come so fast. The fact that the Great Elder has personally led people there indicates the Lu family's tough stance in retaliation. Is it because the Lu family had gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm and feels confident? Or is it because they are just putting on a show of strength while being weak inside? Lu Chongqing pondered. He had been thinking about sending Lu Pingan and a group of children to the secular world next year. With the situation escalating so quickly now, he felt that it was necessary to do it sooner. But at the moment, he couldn't rest assured to take a group of children to the secular world either. Who knew if the Qin family would, just like before, send people to lie in wait on certain routes outside Qingzhou Mountain? There's no rush for the time being, let's just observe for now. As long as the Lu family ancestor is not on his deathbed, it's unlikely that the Qin family would blatantly tear their facade and start a war. Moreover, with the formation guarding Qingzhou Mountain and the Foundation establishment ancestor presiding, even 2 or 3 great cultivators at Foundation establishment level would not be able to breach it. Lu Chongqing was not too anxious or thrown off balance. The situation had just begun and had not reached a point where it would affect him. In the following time, Lu Chongqing also spent more time making talismans each day, contributing talismans to the family. These contributed talismans, of course, were not given for free. The Lu family would calculate contribution rewards. Considering the materials provided by the Lu family for talisman making, the price was about half the original cost. It was a decent deal. After all, the initial investment by the Lu family in resources to cultivate him was intended for future returns. Before he knew it, more than 3 months had passed. The dispute between the Lu family and the Qin family had not affected Lu Chongqing. Or rather, just as Lu Chongqing predicted, the dispute was merely a probe. It was unable to extend its impact to Qingzhou Mountain or affect the Lu family. Chapter 195, Trouble is Brewing, Heart Demon. During these days, Lu Chongqing stayed at home, living a simple and quiet life. He spent his days cultivating, making talismans, and accompanying his wives and children. Of course, in the vital matter of childbearing, Lu Chongqing had not fallen behind either. He had reached a total of 73 children. This was after Lu Chongqing started practicing eugenics. Otherwise, the number would have increased by at least another 10. One day, in the practice room, clang clang clang, Lu Chongqing held in his hand a piece of cracked and dim red gold essence. His bones constantly emitted the clanging sounds of gold and iron, like soldiers. It was as if numerous blacksmiths were wielding hammers within his body, forging divine weapons with his flesh and bones, sparks flying everywhere without end. He did not know how much time had passed. Crack! Lu Chongqing slowly opened his eyes, exhaled a breath of foul air, and crushed the dim, cracked piece of red gold essence in his hand to dust. An invisible pressure was released, causing the dust on the ground to disperse. 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, the second level, has finally been achieved. Lu Chongqing stood up, stretched his muscles and bones, which made a pop and crackle sound like frying beans. Then he looked at his palms. The skin was still white and delicate. But beneath that smooth, mirror-like whiteness, there was an added sense of indestructible thickness. It's still the breakthroughs in body refinement that bring the most fulfilling sensation. Lu Chongqing felt the tremendous power in his body, clenched his fists, and felt as if he could shatter anything with a single punch. However, he knew this was only an illusion resulting from the recent breakthrough and the enhancement of his physical body. The second level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art only made one's body comparable to a middle-grade magic artifact. Nurtured by the Black Dragon magical bead, my treasure bone technique has also reached a minor accomplishment. Lu Chongqing closed his eyes for introspection. He could see his bones, now clear as crystal. There were tadpole-like runes on them, faintly visible, shining splendidly, like an exquisite creation of the heavens. But now the treasure bones are only at a minor accomplishment. At best, they can only briefly harness part of the Black Dragon magical bead's power, comparable to a talisman treasure. Moreover, once activated, it also deals significant damage to myself. So, unless it's absolutely necessary, it's better not to use it and to continue nurturing it. Lu Chongqing looked at the treasure bones in his chest and murmured to himself. This treasure bone technique was one of his trump cards. Once nurtured to the extreme, it would be a decade spent honing a single bone, which upon release, breaks stones and startles the heavens. After casting a cleansing technique to tidy up the practice room, Lu Chongqing left the room. He went to the courtyard to accompany his wives and children. During the time he spent with his wives and children, he had also prepared them in advance for venturing into the secular world. In this regard, the little ones like Lu Pingan were quite receptive. One reason was that Lu Chongqing, upon realizing that most of his children lacked spiritual roots, subtly talked about this matter. On the other hand, it was also thanks to the teachings and atmosphere of the Lu family. 3 days later, while chatting with Lu Miaoyun, Lu Chongqing learned some news. The conflict over the spirit mines between the Lu and Qin families had subsided, thanks to the Lu family's firm stance and strong counteroffensive, which had deterred the Qin family. The matter was considered temporarily settled. But Lu Chongqing remained firm in his speculation that what the Qin family had done was merely a probe. Such incidents were sure to recur. Given that, there's no time to lose. While things have temporarily calmed down, there's no need to postpone sending Pingan and the others to the secular world any longer. I'm going to send the first group of children to the secular world now, otherwise, who knows what might happen next. After pondering for a moment, Lu Chongqing decided to send the first group of children to the secular world right away. Otherwise, he feared new troubles could arise. I should also inform Fei Yu about this matter. Lu Chongqing thought. After telling his wives, he went out to find Li Feiyu. He had discussed matters concerning their departure with Li Feiyu previously. Having Li Feiyu teach his children martial arts was also to foster closeness and familiarity between Li Feiyu and his children. So when the children went to the secular world, Li Feiyu could be there to look after them. Soon, Lu Chongqing arrived at a plaza in Qingzhou Villa. He saw Li Feiyu teaching Lu Pingan and a few other youngsters, as well as his own 7 children, some basic martial arts. Dad! Daddy! Uncle Lu! The group of kids called out when they saw Lu Chongqing approaching. I need to speak with your Uncle Li about something. You keep practicing, do well. Seeing a few children pause in their movements, Lu Chongqing immediately said. Although he doted on his children, he wasn't overindulgent. Also, the martial arts that Li Feiyu was teaching them were basic and weren't too strenuous. It was more about building endurance and willpower. He felt it was necessary. Chongqing, what brings you over this time? Li Feiyu smiled and asked Lu Chongqing. There's something I want to discuss with you. Lu Chongqing nodded. He sat down with Li Feiyu under a tree on the side and began, I've decided to send Pingan and the others to the secular world now. So soon. Has something happened? Li Feiyu was surprised and immediately sensed that something must have happened. Before this, Lu Chongqing had discussed the matter with him, but it was something that was expected to happen within the next year or two. You're aware of that spirit stone mine issue with the Lu family a while back, aren't you? Lu Chongqing began. I've heard something about it, but I don't know the details. Did something happen? Li Feiyu shook his head. He was truly out of the loop regarding family affairs in the Lu family and had no source of information. Chapter 196, Trouble is Brewing, Heart Demon. Nothing major happened, the matter has calmed down for now, coming to an end. But according to my guess, this is only the Qin family's first probe. Lu Chongqing took out 2 flasks of jade bamboo wine from his storage bag, handed one to Li Feiyu, and then continued speaking. I have mentioned to you before that the situation of the Lu family ancestor is not optimistic. At that time, I thought it would take at least 4 or 5 years before the Liu family would start to become unstable. But this incident has served as a wake-up call for me. I feel that it won't be long before the Liu family will face a second and third wave of troubles, conflicts. So I think there's no need to delay the trip to the secular world any longer. It's better to take advantage of the current lull and send Pingan and the others to the secular world. Moreover, given the situation at the Liu family, it's better for you to leave as well. You are a free agent, free to leave at any time. As for your wives and children, I can go talk to the family head and try to arrange for them to join you. At that time, you can join me in sending your wives and children to the secular world. What do you think? Liu Chongqing laid out all of his thoughts. On the one hand, he was reminding his good brother to make an escape. On the other hand, he was hoping that after Li Feiyu settled his family in the secular world, he would help look after the children and continue to teach them martial arts. Although there were arrangements made by Hong Yi in the secular world, he trusted Li Feiyu even more. No problem, I'll listen to you, let's do as you said. I appreciate your help with this. After hearing these words, Li Feiyu pondered briefly before nodding in agreement. He also knew that if the Liu family truly faced a crisis, it would be too late for him to escape. Though leaving the Liu family meant losing the cultivation benefit of the spiritual vein blessed land, decisions had to be made according to the situation. Moreover, he had already planned to leave the Liu family and strike out on his own once he broke through to the 4th level energy refinement. Not long ago, he had made this breakthrough. Only, he had been hesitant because his children were too young, and he was planning to wait a few more years. Now that Liu Chongqing was willing to resolve this worry for him, he had no more concerns. We don't need to stand on ceremony. I also hope that when you are in the secular world, you will continue to look after Pingan and the others for a few years. After all, they will need time to adapt once they reach the secular world. As their father, I can't always be by their side. Liu Chongqing exhaled lightly as he spoke. Although he had mentally prepared for it, the true prospect of sending his children to the secular world, a world apart from the divine, inevitably made him feel somewhat sentimental. Rest assured, I will take good care of the children, Li Feiyu said, his voice firm. He then added, but what about you? What are your plans? My involvement with the Liu family is quite deep, I can't just leave whenever I want. After all, the Liu family has been kind to me, and under the current circumstances, it's not possible for me to just walk away. So, I plan to continue to watch and wait. If the Liu family manages to safely get through this, then that's all for the best. If not, they will be too busy to attend to me when the time comes. Liu Chongqing spoke. Although there was still a contract between him and the Liu family, what bound him now was no longer just a contract. It was the affection developed over many years with the Liu family, as well as the emotional ties with his wives. These things, he could not simply disregard without any thought. So, he was still preparing to wait and see. Thinking that he should exert some effort in helping the Liu family through the crisis if possible, if not, he would then protect his wives and leave. This would not only leave him with a clear conscience but also give an explanation to his wives, Liu Miaoyun, and the Liu family. Alright, as long as you've got it figured out for yourself, that's fine. Li Feiyu, hearing these words, did not attempt to persuade otherwise. He knew that Liu Chongqing was a man of deep emotions. In such a situation, it was indeed very difficult to just walk away without looking back. If you have any doubts, you can also ask for my analysis, Li Feiyu said. Straight away, Liu Chongqing discussed the subsequent arrangements and other matters with Li Feiyu. After their conversation, Liu Chongqing immediately went to find the family head, Liu Yuanding. Since he had decided to send the children to the secular world, he had to inform Liu Yuanding, the patriarch of the Liu family. It was also a good opportunity to inquire about the current situation with the Qin family and ensure stability had been reached, as well as to discuss the matter of Li Feiyu's wives and children. Half an hour later, Lu Chongqing arrived at Lu Yuanding's residence. However, Lu Yuanding was not there. After waiting for nearly half an hour, Lu Yuanding finally returned. Chongqing, have you come over for something? Lu Yuanding came into the hall, looked at Lu Chongqing, and asked directly. Yes, family head, I've heard that the dispute between our family and the Qin family has temporarily calmed down, and I was thinking of taking this opportunity to send some of my children to the secular world. Lu Chongqing spoke openly without any hesitation. After all, he saw no need for excessive reticence in such matters. Sending children to the secular world. Lu Yuanding paused briefly upon hearing this. Then, after contemplating for a moment, he said, I remember your children are already around 7 years old, right? It is indeed about time to send them to the secular world. At present, our Lu family and the Qin family have settled our issues temporarily, so there's no problem. However, you should still be careful on the road. When do you plan to depart? I will arrange for a few people to escort you back. Lu Yuanding spoke. I was thinking of leaving in the next few days, Lu Chongqing said. Do you have a place prepared for settling the children? Our Lu family has family influences in many places in the secular world. If you don't have a place in mind, I can have someone arrange it for you. Rest assured, we will treat all these children equally. Chapter 197, Trouble is Brewing, Heart Demon. _4 Lu Yuanding spoke with a gentle tone. Thank you, family head, but I have already made arrangements for the child's future, which is to settle him in our ancestral home in Rui Prefecture. I had a friend procure some farmland and houses there beforehand. Lu Chongqing bowed slightly in acknowledgement. He could clearly discern from Lu Yuanding's words that it was hoped he would settle the child within the Lu family. Since you have already made arrangements, that's naturally for the best. Once you've decided on a time, just inform me, and if you encounter any issues in the secular world, feel free to discuss them with me. Hearing that Lu Chongqing had made arrangements, Lu Yuanding said no more. His tone remained gentle and unchanged. After all, this world placed great importance on familial bloodlines. While Lu Chongqing's heart had become intertwined with the Lu family, he saw it as perfectly natural to want to establish his own bloodline in the secular world. You needn't worry too much about the current situation of the Lu family. Yuan Shan made not insignificant gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm, giving us hope to overcome this difficult period. Seemingly aware of the concerns in Lu Chongqing's heart, Lu Yuanding revealed some news. Significant gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm. Getting through a difficult period. Lu Chongqing's heart skipped a beat upon hearing this. Although he didn't know whether what Lu Yuanding said was true or false, at this moment, Lu Chongqing could not possibly show lack of response. He immediately bowed deeply, expressing his attitude, family head, I have long considered Qingzhou Mountain as my own home. This time, sending the child to the secular world is partly because he is not so young anymore, and also to leave bloodlines in the world, wishing to share life and death with the family. Lu Chongqing said this with a look of firm conviction. Seeing Lu Chongqing's determined expression, Lu Yuanding also showed a relieved and moved expression. He patted Lu Chongqing's shoulder and said, Haha, it's the thought that counts. However, our Lu family will never let our people, our own, make sacrifices in vain, so you don't have to worry too much. Lu Yuanding said so. Yes, family head. Lu Chongqing nodded in agreement. He then continued, by the way, family head, I have a good friend named Li Feiyu. A few years ago I troubled the fourth elder to have him released from his position as a son-in-law to become a free man, but he still remains with the Lu family. This time, I would like for him to return to the secular world with me to help look after the child. So, I would like to request the family head's permission to allow him to take his wives, concubines, and children back to the secular world with him. Lu Chongqing spoke again. No problem, you can go directly to Uncle Fu and have him arrange it. Lu Yuanding, upon hearing this, agreed without hesitation. Because of Lu Chongqing, he had a recollection of the man named Li Feiyu. But his understanding wasn't clear. Since Lu Chongqing had made the request, it was of no consequence to grant this favor. Thank you, family head. Lu Chongqing bowed deeply in gratitude. Then, Lu Chongqing took his leave from Lu Yuanding. That night. Afterward, Lan Shu, Zir, Qing'er, in planning to send Pingan, Wuyu, and Wuyo to the secular world in 3 days. They are still young and in need of care, so you will come with them to provide it. Lu Chongqing said to the 3 women. He did not mention anything about the crisis facing the Lu family. Sending the children to the secular world now and having his wives look after them was the most legitimate reason. All right, I'll follow my husband's decision. Whatever you arrange, husband. The 3 women nestled close to Lu Chongqing and replied in soft voices. Don't worry, I will visit you whenever I can. Lu Chongqing caressed the 3 women, speaking gently. He still had quite a lot of affection for his first 3 wives. Great Dream Immortal City. Meng fellow Daoist, before we begin alchemy, I must clarify that since Foundation establishment elixir materials are hard to come by, aside from the second-rank alchemists of the great immortal sects, other alchemists are not very proficient in the making of the Foundation establishment elixir. Under normal conditions, I can produce 2 elixirs. If luck is against me, there might be only 1, and only when luck is particularly favorable can 3 be produced. Hence, if you accept this outcome, I can begin the alchemy process for you. An old man with hair as white as a crane's feathers and a complexion as rosy and youthful as a baby slowly spoke to a young girl in a purple dress. Of course, please rest assured, Chen Alchemist, no matter the outcome, this young lady understands and the agreed payment will not be shortchanged. Meng Xiaochan smiled as she handed over a storage bag. Although Chen Ping was an old hand at alchemy, he was one of the few who could reliably produce the foundation building elixir. Moreover, it was not easy for a loose cultivator to find someone to make the foundation building elixir for them. The alchemist Chen Ping before her was someone she had managed to ask for a favor through various connections and at a considerable cost. Very well, since Meng fellow Daoist has no objections, then I shall commence alchemy. In the next few days, you may wait outside the alchemy hall or return after 7 days. Chen Ping nodded slightly, took a glance at the storage bag to ensure the materials were complete, and then, accompanied by 2 boys who fanned the flames, entered the alchemy hall. Meng Xiaochan did not depart but waited outside the hall for the outcome. At this moment, her mind drifted. Wondering if Qin Alchemist managed to produce only 1 foundation establishment elixir, how she should plan. Whether she should use it herself or give it to him. This Lockhart goo is too overbearing. Once I achieve foundation establishment, I must kill him. Otherwise, he will become my heart demon. In the next moment, Meng Xiaochan formed a spiritual art with her hands, pressing it on her forehead, taking deep breaths. She was acutely aware that the influence of the Lockhart goo on her was getting more severe. She would often involuntarily think of Lu Chongqing. Sometimes, she even dreamed of him at night. If it weren't for the fact that I know I'm afflicted with the Lockhart goo and have the pure heart technique, any other person would likely be unable to withstand the effects of the Lockhart goo. That's why I must kill him and take back the Lockhart goo. Meng Xiaocan's eyes were downcast as she muttered to herself. Chapter 198, 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Root. _ 15 days later. Outside Qingzhou Mountain. Uncle Yuanshan, thank you for your trouble on this journey. Lu Chongqing said to a middle-aged man with a heroic face and missing an arm, bowing his hands in courtesy. This man was Lu Yuanshan, one of the core members of the Lu family who had been sent to the Purple Shadow secret realm. He possessed the strength of the 9th level energy refinement. This time, Lu Yuanding had him personally escort Lu Chongqing to the secular world. It's no trouble. Lu Yuanshan spoke with a deep voice, his expression stern and authoritative. He then took out a palm-sized blue flying boat. Under the activation of mana, the flying boat transformed into a small vessel about 3 meters long. This flying boat was slightly bigger than the second elders. But it wasn't much larger, only able to seat 12 people. This was because the Lu family did not have medium or large flying boats. Only a few small ones. The use of this flying boat was a special exception made by Lu Yuanding due to the special circumstances of Lu Chongqing. However, having a flying boat was already satisfying for Lu Chongqing. He had been considering whether to hire a flying boat from the spiritual boat pavilion. After all, with so many wives, concubines, and children, it would indeed be too troublesome and inconvenient to rely on spirit carriage. Feiyu, Lanshu, you go up first, Lu Chongqing said to Li Feiyu and Lu Lanshu and the others nearby. Because there were many people, he divided his wives, concubines, and children into 2 groups. First, he was sending Li Feiyu's wives, concubines, and children to the secular world. His own family would follow in another batch. Pingan, come with Daddy, Daddy will take you flying over, Lu Chongqing said, not boarding the flying boat himself. Instead, he pulled an iron feather eagle out of a spiritual pet bag and beckoned to his son Lu Pingan. Okay, Daddy, Lu Pingan replied without any objections. In his view, the flying boat was just that, nothing compared to the fun of riding an eagle. Lu Chongqing occasionally took them to fly on iron feather eagles, but it was only for short flights and not very satisfying. Hold on tight, said Lu Chongqing as he immediately picked up his son, leapt onto the iron feather eagle's back, made sure he was stable, and affixed 2 wind-avoiding talismans to him. He then looked towards Lu Yuanshan. Let's go. Lu Yuanshan saw that everyone was seated and nodded. Immediately, the iron feather eagle and the flying boat soared towards the sky together. In terms of speed, the flying boat was slightly faster than the iron feather eagle. But not by much. Lu Yuanshan slightly slowed down the speed of the flying boat to travel alongside Lu Chongqing. Pingan, remember the guidance Daddy has given you. From now on, with Daddy not by your side, you will have to decide for yourself what to do. Lu Chongqing stood on the iron feather eagle, hugging his son, and said aloud. Don't worry, Daddy, I'll definitely not let you down. Lu Pingan pursed his lips, raised his head to look at Lu Chongqing, and nodded firmly. Good, Daddy believes in you, said Lu Chongqing without saying much more. Although his eldest son had no spiritual root, and couldn't be said to have exceptional talent or intellect, he had a steady character, and as far as independence was concerned, Lu Chongqing was quite satisfied. With him as a father, his child didn't need to strive for success, maintaining what they had was sufficient. And as Lu Chongqing saw it, Lu Pingan was more than capable of maintaining what they had. Great Dream Immortal City. Alchemy Hall. Meng Dao friend, I was quite lucky this time, successful in creating 3 elixirs. However, this third one is flawed, just an inferior foundation establishment elixir. It has too much elixir toxicity and can only increase the chance of foundation establishment success by 10%. 7 days of alchemy had left Shen Ping's complexion rosy, but also a bit worn. He opened his palm, showing off 3 elixir medicines, and said to Meng Xiaochan. 2 of the elixirs were crystal clear, radiating a rich medicinal fragrance. The third was much duller in color, with a grayish mark, clearly inferior to the other 2. 3 elixirs. Meng Xiaochan exclaimed in surprise upon hearing this. She hadn't expected her luck to be so good as to yield 3 elixirs. Even if the third one was of inferior quality, it still held significant value. Enough to drive countless cultivators mad with desire. Thank you, Master Chen. Meng Xiaochan bowed in thanks, took out a storage bag, and handed it to Qin Ping, saying, Master Qin, this is the agreed-upon reward, please have a look. All right, Qin Ping took the storage bag, glanced at it, and smiled. He passed the 3 foundation establishment elixirs to Meng Xiaochan. Thank you, Master Qin, I shall take my leave, Meng Xiaochan said as she took the elixirs and promptly bade farewell. She went towards the inner city center to rent a second-rank cave mansion, preparing for her attempt to break through to foundation establishment. Her visit to the Great Dream Immortal City was not only for the purpose of creating foundation establishment elixirs, but also to make use of the second-grade spiritual veins to break through to foundation establishment. Places like Nine Dragon Square, although they sat atop second-grade spirit veins, their cave mansions were not available to the public. Even if they were, there would be formation limitations, preventing one from attempting foundation establishment. In the Great Dream Immortal City, however, as long as one had the money, one could rent top-tier second-rank or even almost third-rank cave mansions specifically suited for foundation establishment. This was why the Immortal City attracted so many loose cultivators to come. Foundation establishment. After renting a top-tier second-rank cave mansion, Meng Xiaochan set up a layer of formation around the mansion, her eyes showing a determined glint. She then sat down cross-legged, began to adjust her state of essence, energy, and soul, and waited for the right moment to attempt foundation establishment. 3 days later. The spirit boat and the iron feather eagle landed in an uninhabited area outside Rui County City. Lu Chongqing, holding his sleeping son Lu Pingon in his arms, took out Hong Yi's transmission talisman. Then he led everyone towards Rui Prefecture. The movement of walking also awoke Lu Pingon. Daddy, is this Rui County City where we'll live from now on? Lu Pingon, rubbing his sleepy eyes, looked at the city ahead with curiosity. Yes, this is Rui County City. Chapter 199, 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Route. Dad was born in a small mountain village just below Rui County City, and from now on, you and your siblings will live here, Lu Chongqing said gently. Rui County City, how time flies. Li Feiyu, too, holding his wife and daughter, looked towards the city ahead, his expression filled with emotions. Indeed, the last time we came here together, it was 5 years ago. In the blink of an eye, more than 5 years have passed. Lu Chongqing nodded, also touched with a trace of nostalgia. Since his journey to the Lu family, it had already been over 8, almost 9 years. Every time he looked back at these times, Lu Chongqing felt it had passed quickly. Soon after, Hong Yi arrived. Brother Lu, Brother Li, these must be your wives. Hong Yi, upon seeing that Lu Chongqing had brought his family and that Li Feiyu was also present, was a bit surprised. However, he didn't dwell on it much and approached warmly, with an expression of politeness and not a hint of arrogance. Upon seeing Lu Yuanshan, he also greeted him respectfully, Youngster Hong Yi, I've met this elder. Although he didn't recognize Lu Yuanshan, his years of dealing with people had honed his perception. At first glance, he could tell that Lu Yuanshan was no ordinary figure. Uncle Yuanshan, this is my good friend Hong Yi. Pingon, this is your Uncle Hong. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, introducing them. Uncle Hong. Uncle Hong. Lu Pingon and Li Feiyu's children all called out to Hong Yi. Very good, here, take these gifts from your uncle as a greeting. Seeing this, Hong Yi also smiled and took out a few small items from his storage bag for the children. The children, however, looked at their parents. Since it's a gift from Uncle Hong, you should accept it. Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Then, turning to Hong Yi, he asked, Brother Hong, I didn't have time to inform you about my visit this time. Have you managed to arrange the house I asked you to acquire? I have arranged everything regarding the estate, but as for the protector and martial master, that has not yet been settled. Brother Lu, do you want to go there now, or should we first settle the elder and the ladies and let them rest? Hong Yi said immediately. Uncle Yuan Shan, would you like to go back first, or rest here for a while? Lu Chongqing looked towards Lu Yuanshan and asked respectfully. He still showed the proper respect and courtesy due to the Lu family elder. It's fine, I'm not in a hurry, I'll go back with you. Lu Yuanshan spoke. His task this trip was to escort the group, protecting Lu Chongqing to prevent the Qin family from making a move against this talisman master. Thank you for your trouble, Uncle Yuan Shan. Lu Chongqing bowed slightly. After that, he settled Lu Yuanshan, his wives, concubines, and children to rest. Together with Li Feiyu and Hong Yi, he went to check out the estate. Brother Lu, did you come here ahead of time because of the conflict between the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain and the Qin family of Red Leaf Valley? Hong Yi, as they boarded the carriage, inquired. Brother Hong, you are also aware of this matter. Lu Chongqing was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected that the affairs between the Lu and Qin families would be known to Hong Yi in the secular world. I have been keeping an eye on this news. Not long ago, there was word that the Lu family ancestor was not long for this world, and that there might be a conflict between the Lu and Qin families. I was actually about to write to inform Brother Lu and Brother Li. I never expected that Brother Lu would arrive so soon. Hong Yi said. Indeed, I was influenced by this situation. Since Hong Yi had received relevant news, Lu Chongqing didn't conceal anything. He mentioned that there had been some friction between the Lu and Qin families, which had now quieted down, so he had brought his wives and children to the secular world ahead of time. And later, he would bring over more of his family. Brother Lu, do you plan to separate from the Lu family, or? Hong Yi asked. I won't leave the Lu family for the time being, but this time Feiyu will settle here in the secular world for a while. Lu Chongqing shook his head and stated plainly. Hong Yi did not press the matter further. He knew that Lu Chongqing knew far more about the Lu family's affairs than he did. There was no need for him to speculate based on rumors. And so the three of them chatted and reminisced in the carriage, laughing and talking. A quarter of an hour later, the carriage stopped. Young master. The coachman called out to the carriage. Brother Lu, here we are. Hong Yi nodded. Stepping down from the carriage, he pointed towards an estate in front of them and spoke to Lu Chongqing. Brother Lu, this is the place. This land was sectioned off beside the newly constructed canal for the purpose of building estates. The few estates constructed here are all owned by cultivators from the secular world. It also meets the requirement you mentioned before, being large and quiet. This estate covers a total of 18 acres, facing the canal in front, and the rear is fertile land that has been cultivated, suitable for orchards, farmland. Hong Yi continued the introduction for Lu Chongqing as they walked. Lu Chongqing looked at the estate Hong Yi had arranged for him. The estate could not be described as overly luxurious. But it was spacious and imposing. Especially its proximity to the canal, offering a view of its majestic expanse, and the possibility to enjoy boating on the waterway. This could be considered a waterfront property. Lu Chongqing chuckled softly. Then he nodded towards Hong Yi. This estate is quite nice, you've gone to a lot of trouble, Brother Hong. It's good that Brother Lu is satisfied. Let me show you around and explain everything. Hong Yi also revealed a smile. He had spent a great deal of effort on this estate. He was worried that Lu Chongqing might not be pleased with it. He even had several backup houses prepared. The entire estate, though only 18 acres in size, had a layout that was exceptionally orderly and structured. Inside, the lush foliages, pavilions and towers, upturned eaves with blue tiles, intricately interconnected, were winding and intricate, exquisitely elegant without losing grandeur. After touring the estate, Lu Chongqing was very satisfied with it. This size was more than enough, not just for his own children. Chapter 200, 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Route. Even when Lu Pingan and the children grow up, all get married and have children of their own, 2 or 3 per person, they will still be able to live here comfortably. Some servants have also been arranged to clean and tidy up the place. It is just that there are still vacancies for martial masters, protectors, and stewards. Lu Chongqing plans, for the position of steward, to let Bai He and Hai Tang, the maids that he previously purchased from the White Jade Tower, take on the role when the time comes. Not only do they have martial skills, but they are also capable in management. Very well, Brother Hong, I am very satisfied with this residence, you have worked hard. Lu Chongqing nodded towards Hong Yi, confirming the decision. He then turned to Li Feiyu and asked, Feiyu, what are your plans? Will you live here, or do you want to return to Heavenly Water Mansion? I'll settle down here for the time being, and I'll go back to check on Heavenly Water Mansion later. Li Feiyu replied. Fine, I'll rely on you and Brother Hong to look after things here then. Lu Chongqing nodded. With Li Feiyu and Hong Yi watching over things, he felt reassured. Moreover, he also planned to leave the 9 Netherhound here. One reason was that the children all liked the 9 Netherhound as a playmate. Additionally, it was to have the 9 Netherhound guard the house for an extra layer of security. As they were leaving the mansion, Hong Yi took out a plaque from his storage bag and spoke, Brother Lu, now that it's decided, why don't we give the mansion a name? I didn't expect you to be so well prepared, Brother Hong. Upon seeing this, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but smile. Taking out a talisman brush from his storage bag, he wrote Lu Residence on the plaque with powerful and elegant strokes. He hung the plaque above the mansion's main gate. This can be considered my own home now. Even though it is in the secular world. Lu Chongqing looked at the mansion before him with a lot of emotions. It's true that after so many years on Qingzhou Mountain, he had developed a feeling of belonging. But for his own future, Lu Chongqing still wished to establish a cultivation family of his own. Although that step was still far off, and would have to wait until after he established his foundation establishment did not seem very far away to Lu Chongqing. This can be regarded as the first step. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. Now, his secular Lu family was also settled. In the future, his children could root and establish themselves in Rui County City. The next day, Lu Chongqing brought Lu Lanshu and Lu Pingan to the residence, and also moved Xia Jiue and her younger brother to live here. Regarding his own situation, Lu Chongqing had already told Xia Jiue before. Now was also a good time for Xia Jiue to start integrating into this family. After living in Rui County City for a day, Lu Chongqing and Lu Yuanshan returned to Qingzhou Mountain to begin the second phase of the transfer. The 2 round trips went very smoothly. Lu Chongqing brought Lu Qing'er, Lu Zier, and in total, 6 wives and concubines, along with 9 children to Rui County City. As for the remaining children, Lu Chongqing planned to wait until they were a bit older. After all, he was still, nominally, just moving the older children to the secular world for settlement, not running away. It was not feasible to move all his wives and children to the secular world at once. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing bring so many children, Hong Yi also sent his 2 children over, to get acquainted with the children of Lu Chongqing and Li Feiyu. It was arranged for them to become playmates and grow up together, continuing the relationships and friendships of their father's generation. After settling his wives and concubines, Lu Chongqing left the 9 Netherhound in the mansion for his son Lu Pingan to look after and raise, giving his own wives and children an additional means of self-protection in the secular world. Although the 9 Netherhound was still an early first-grade demon beast, it was nearly reaching the middle stage. Able to face a common mid-phase chi refinement cultivator without fear. During these days, Lu Chongqing also gave Xia Zhiyue a thorough examination, and he could almost confirm that she indeed possessed the spirit-nurturing physique. However, considering that Xia Zhiyue was only at the second level of qi refinement and that bearing children could harm her vitality, he did not ask her to get pregnant and bear children right away. Lu Chongqing exchanged for a set of minor spirit-gathering arrays from the Lu family, set them up in the backyard of the mansion, allowing Xia Zhiyue, Xia Zhaoyang, and Li Feiyu to barely manage to cultivate in the secular world. Furthermore, Lu Chongqing also gave Xia Zhiyue 50 spirit stones and some elixir medicines, encouraging her to cultivate diligently by herself regularly and not to slack off. After settling all these matters, Lu Chongqing and Lu Yuanshan returned to Qingzhou Mountain. But before leaving, Lu Chongqing also left a stack of talismans for Li Feiyu. After all, Li Feiyu only had the cultivation level of the 4th level of qi refinement. Although he also had the strength of an innate grandmaster in martial arts, which virtually guaranteed his safety in the secular world, and with the Rui Marquis mansion there, however, Lu Chongqing always preferred to play it safe, just to be cautious. After sending the first batch of wives and children to the secular world, Lu Chongqing returned to Qingzhou Mountain and continued to lead a reclusive life, cultivating daily, making talismans, and spending time with his wives and children. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. On this day, the 63rd child of Lu Chongqing was born. The moment this child came into the world, Lu Chongqing felt an indescribable and mysterious agitation surge through him, clearly indicating to Lu Chongqing his spiritual root had advanced. From a 7th grade spiritual root, he had ascended to a 6th grade spiritual root. From a lower grade spiritual root, he had ascended to a middle grade spiritual root. System. Lu Chongqing exclaimed with joy, immediately opening the system panel. Name, Lu Chongqing. Identity, son-in-law of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Cultivation level, 7th level energy refinement. Lifespan, 26/163. Talent, 6th grade spiritual root. Cultivation techniques, Immortal beauty technique, 100 refinements treasure body art, 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture, spells, flame bullet technique, wind control skill, object manipulating technique, aura concealment technique, spiritual eye technique, sound transmitting technique. Skills, talisman making, 2nd rank, puppeteering, 2nd rank, spiritual pets, 9 netherhound, peach blossom goo, progeny, 63/75. View details. Chapter 201, 3 Foundation Establishment Elixirs, Advancing to Middle Grade Spiritual Root. _4, indeed, a 6th grade spiritual root. After so much effort, I've finally advanced from a lower grade spiritual root to a middle grade spiritual root. Lu Chongqing looked at the system panel, feeling immense joy in his heart. A 9th grade spiritual root upon elevation to middle grade spiritual root wasn't just beneficial for foundation establishment. But it also wouldn't be a hindrance like a lower grade spiritual root, impacting the chances of foundation establishment. This child must be an 8th grade spiritual root, right? Lu Chongqing could roughly feel the quality of the child's spiritual root through the recent pulsation. However, with the system panel, it seemed even more convenient now. His mental spirit stirred slightly. Through the progeny section, he saw the information of his newly born child. Indeed. 8th grade spiritual root. I now have 12 children with spiritual roots. Yet only 2 children possess 7th grade spiritual roots. Trying to have a child with a middle grade spiritual root is truly difficult. Now that I've advanced to a 6th grade spiritual root, I wonder if this aspect will be any better, Lu Chongqing mused, exhaling deeply. Even if both parents possessed spiritual roots, and they ensured the mother was well nourished with spiritual energy during pregnancy to increase the odds of the child having a spiritual root. The child's grade of spiritual root was still very challenging. Now that I've advanced to middle grade spiritual root, not only has my cultivation speed increased, but it will also help me with my foundation establishment, he reflected. If I could advance to upper-grade spiritual root early, foundation establishment would probably be as easy as snapping my fingers. It's a pity that Jiue is only at the second level of Qi refinement. Her constitution is too frail, otherwise, with a spirit-nurturing physique, it wouldn't be a problem to have a child with a middle-grade or even upper-grade spiritual root, Lu Chongqing murmured to himself. With a spirit-nurturing physique, if one is willing to consume their cultivation's origin source to conceive, it's highly likely they could have a child with a middle-grade spiritual root. But the problem is, Xia Zizhu is only at the second level of Qi refinement now. Doing so would certainly inflict great harm on her vitality and affect her at the foundational level. Even though Lu Chongqing wished for a child with a middle-grade spiritual root, his morals and bottom line still prevented him from making such a decision. Previously, I read in a book that said some heavenly materials and earthly treasures have the power to increase the chances of the child having a spiritual root, even improving the quality of the spiritual root, during the mother's pregnancy. I wonder if the system's lottery could draw such treasures, Lu Chongqing thought hopefully to himself. According to the books, these heavenly materials and earthly treasures are extremely rare. They are at least third-rank heavenly materials and treasures. But due to his trust in the system, Lu Chongqing felt that this wasn't a problem. However, thinking about how the system didn't provide much child money when having children, Lu Chongqing felt somewhat distressed. He could only hope that as the children grew up, they would bring him more rewards in other aspects. Sigh, it's difficult, life is so hard for me, Lu Chongqing shook his head, stopped his fanciful thoughts, and went into the practice room to sit down and cultivate. An hour later, Lu Chongqing opened his eyes. My advancement from a 7th grade spiritual root to a 6th grade was quite natural, he reflected. Reliant on the development of the children's spiritual roots and stacking 8th grade and 9th grade spiritual roots, there was not much noticeable speed difference. It seems that it will primarily help with bottleneck issues, he concluded. Lu Chongqing had experienced that after advancing to middle-grade spiritual root, his cultivation speed had not increased significantly. He understood that the main difference between a 7th grade and a 6th grade spiritual root was in their impact on realm bottlenecks. There were differences in cultivation speed of spiritual energy, but they were not that significant. Chapter 202, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. _1 Qingzhou Mountain. Inside the practice room, Lu Chongqing sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, focusing on his practice, as 7 fierce strands of sword qi lingered within his flesh, almost piercing through his skin. The normally handsome and extraordinary visage of Lu Chongqing was now twisted with pain. Huff. After a long while, Lu Chongqing's expression eased, and he opened his eyes, exhaling a long breath of turbid air. Although the pain of expelling the elixir toxicity is nothing compared to the benefits, the torment of the sword qi is truly excruciating. Lu Chongqing gently wiped the sweat from his forehead, performed a cleansing technique, and exclaimed with feeling. However, once I break through to the foundation establishment stage and cultivate the 7 luminaries Great Freedom Sword scripture to the 2nd level, I can condense a 7 luminary stars lamp within my body. With this lamp formed, I can ignite its flame and autonomously burn away the elixir toxicity and impurities in my body, without having to use the 7 luminaries sword qi to endure such agony, Lu Chongqing muttered to himself. The 7 luminaries Great Freedom Sword scripture has a corresponding technique for each level. The 2nd level includes a divine skill, the 7 luminary stars lamp. This allows the cultivator to solidify a heart lamp within. Not only does the lamp help the cultivator expel elixir toxicity, condense mana, and strengthen the foundation, it can also incinerate spiritual energy, accelerate cultivation, protect the mental spirit, and aid in enlightenment among other things. It is profoundly powerful. Additionally, the cultivator can even cast this lamp into a tangible magic artifact. It is a top-tier spiritual artifact with both offensive and defensive capabilities. Lu Chongqing didn't dwell further on this. He stood up, looking at the porcelain bottle beside him, now empty. I've almost used up all my elixir medicines. I need to make a trip to the Nine Dragons marketplace. This is also a good opportunity to deal with all the items I collected from Xiaolong and the others. Then, I can stock up on more elixir medicines, and also equip my second-rank puppet with middle-grade spirit stones, Lu Chongqing thought to himself, walking out of the practice room and preparing to visit the Nine Dragons marketplace. But when he reached the backyard, intending to tell his wives that he would be out, he saw the fourth elder holding his chubby grandchild and chatting with the heavily pregnant Lu Miaoyun. As soon as the fourth elder heard that Lu Chongqing was planning to visit the Nine Dragons marketplace, she immediately said, "Chongqing, the outside world is not very peaceful right now. If you don't have urgent business, it's better not to leave Qingzhou Mountain. If you need to go to the Nine Dragons marketplace, you can wait for another 2 months. The second elder will be returning by then. You can go with the second elder, and let Miaoge rest a bit too," the fourth elder thus advised. "All right, Grandma," Lu Chongqing replied promptly upon hearing this. Although the situation between the Qin family and the Lu family appeared to have calmed down temporarily, it was only superficially much improved. Underneath the surface, friction continued unabated. Lu Chongqing deduced that the Qin family was likely waiting for an opportunity, a chance to act. They could launch an attack at any moment. Being the talisman master of the Lu family, he estimated he was certainly one of the Qin family's targets. There was a chance that he could be attacked by the Qin family. Although Lu Chongqing was confident that, as long as he did not encounter a Foundation establishment great cultivator, he feared no one, but it was just a trip to the marketplace, no need to rush. And so, 2 months passed. In these 2 months, 3 of Lu Changsheng's children were born. Of note, 2 of these children possessed spiritual roots. One was Lu Miao's third child, with a 9th grade spiritual root. The other was Shuair's third child, with an 8th grade spiritual root. Thus, the number of Lu Changsheng's children possessing spiritual roots reached 14. The total number of Lu Changsheng's children, including those yet to be born, had also reached 77. 5 days later, the second elder returned. As the second elder prepared to journey back to the Nine Dragons marketplace, Lu Chongqing, accompanied by little Qing, left with the second elder for the Nine Dragons marketplace. If he had been going alone, Lu Chongqing naturally would not have taken anyone with him. But this trip was to take over for Lu Miaoge, and he was going to stay in the Nine Dragons marketplace for half a year, so having little Qing by his side was indeed convenient. 1.5 days later, the flying boat arrived smoothly at the Nine Dragons marketplace. After parting ways with the second elder, Lu Chongqing took little Qing back to their residence. Seeing the 12 maids in the courtyard, Lu Chongqing enjoyed them thoroughly. After all, the kind of maids trained by White Jade Tower offer an unmatched experience. The next morning, Lu Chongqing went to the spiritual talisman shop. He told Lu Miaoge that he would be staying in the marketplace for a while and that she could take a break if she wished. Lu Miaoge didn't refuse. Though the spiritual talisman shop didn't have too much busy work, most of the time, it was necessary to have someone preside over the shop to deal with some affairs, which made it difficult to focus on cultivation and study of the talisman path. After Lu Miaoge had been notified, Lu Chongqing skillfully handled the items collected from Xiaolong and the others. Aside from keeping 2 magic artifacts for his own use, he sold everything else, netting Lu Chongqing a total of 2,400 spirit stones. With his fresh earnings, Lu Chongqing began to spend. He purchased a batch of elixir medicines and materials necessary for practicing the 100 refinements treasure body art, and also exchanged for 10 middle-grade spirit stones. Although 1 middle-grade spirit stone is equal to 100 lower-grade spirit stones, considering the exchange rates and handling fees, 10 middle-grade spirit stones cost Lu Chongqing a total of 1,030 spirit stones. I'll skip the White Jade Tower for now. Walking home, Lu Chongqing glanced at the over 800 spirit stones remaining in his storage bag and dismissed the idea of visiting the White Jade Tower. After all, the consumption at the White Jade Tower is somewhat high, and with his 800+ spirit stones, he could only buy maids with lower-grade spiritual roots. Now with 10 wives and maids having spiritual roots, and his own spiritual root upgraded to middle grade. Chapter 203, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. Lu Changsheng's expectations had risen accordingly. He wished the mother of his child would have a better spiritual root. If he were to go to White Jade Tower to buy a maid again, he would buy one with a middle-grade spiritual root. Now, a lower-grade spiritual root really didn't inspire much interest in him. After returning home, Lu Chongqing took out the second-rank puppet from his storage bag in his room. With a pinch of his fingers executing a spiritual art, he removed the heart-protecting mirror from the puppet. He took out the 10 lower-grade spirit stones inside and replaced them with the 10 middle-grade spirit stones he had exchanged for. This is much more reliable. Lu Chongqing looked at the metal puppet in front of him and nodded in satisfaction. With the support of 10 middle-grade spirit stones, this second-rank puppet could now tussle with the Foundation Establishment Great Cultivator for a bit longer. Otherwise, according to his previous estimation, after the 5 javelins on the puppet's back were launched, the stored spiritual power would be almost depleted. A little over a month later. On the second floor of the spiritual talisman shop, Lu Chongqing held a talisman pen and smoothly completed a superior-grade talisman. Chongqing, you've already surpassed me in talisman making. At this rate, I estimate that in 4 or 5 years, you'll be able to try your hand at crafting supreme talismans and become a top-level first-grade talisman master. Lu Miaoge, dressed in white surpassing snow, with a beautiful face, smiled as she watched Lu Chongqing finish making the talisman. In the past, she would feel somewhat frustrated watching Lu Changsheng's rapid progress in the talisman path. But as Lu Chongqing caught up with her with his swift improvements, she gradually came to terms with it. After all, she was never one to be fiercely competitive by nature. Seeing Lu Changsheng's progress made her happy for him. It's also thanks to Sister Miaoge for looking after the shop this past year that I've been able to focus on the talisman path and the tranquility of Qingzhou Mountain and make such rapid progress, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. After all, the fourth elder had entrusted him to manage the shop. But previously, he had handed the shop over to Lu Miaoge on the pretext of spending time at home with his wives and children. However, my current cultivation level is still too low, and I can only craft relatively simple superior-grade talismans. To go further and craft more complex superior-grade talismans, I must break through to the 6th level of energy refinement. As for supreme talismans, I guess I'll have to wait until I reach the 7th level of energy refinement to try practicing them. But with my 9th grade spiritual root, I don't know when I'll be able to break through to that level. So even if my skills on the talisman path improve, it's pointless. Lu Chongqing then continued with a wry smile. He didn't want to demoralize this young lady too much on the topic of talisman path. As long as you spend more time on your cultivation and reach the 6th level, you can apply for a high-rank breakthrough elixir from the family. Then you'll be able to break through to the 7th level very quickly, Lu Miaoge said, biting her lip gently, trying to comfort him. She also felt it a pity for Lu Changsheng's spiritual root talent. Such a great talent for talisman making, yet held back by his spiritual root. Thank you, Sister Miaoge, I will certainly work hard on cultivation, Lu Chongqing nodded slightly. Master, young Master Bai has arrived. At that moment, shopkeeper Zhang Shan came to report. Just say I'm not here. From now on, whenever this young Master Bai comes, you're to say I'm not here, Lu Miaoge said, furrowing her brows slightly, upon hearing this. Yes, Master, Zhang Shan nodded. Sister Miaoge, why not just tell this young Master Bai outright to save him from pestering you like this? Lu Chongqing asked upon hearing this. He had been around long enough to know what this young Master Bai was all about. This young Master Bai came from the Bai family at White Bird Lake. The Bai family had always had a good relationship with the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, with numerous marriages between the two. Not long ago, the Bai family had made an overture to the Lu family about an arranged marriage. They wanted young Master Bai to marry Lu Miaoge. With a 5th grade spiritual root and being a superior grade talisman master, the Lu family naturally did not want her to marry off. But given the Lu family's current circumstances, it was difficult for them to outright refuse the Bai family's proposal without causing offense. So they tactfully conveyed that the matter was for Lu Miaoge to decide. If she was willing, it could be settled. Subsequently, young Master Bai came to Nine Dragons Market, starting to pursue Lu Miaoge. I've already told him explicitly before that I am devoted to my practice and not considering romance, Lu Miaoge said softly. Devoted to my practice and not considering romance, Sister Miaoge, do you really think this way, or is this just an excuse to reject young Master Bai? Lu Chongqing asked, raising his eyebrows curiously as he casually asked. In the cultivation world, where fortunes change rapidly, only as a foundation establishment great cultivator can one truly stand firm. If I want to attempt foundation establishment, I can't allow myself to be distracted by romance, Lu Miaoge replied with a light press of her lips, voicing her determination with a gentle but firm voice. That means you haven't completely ruled out the possibility. If you were to consider it, what would be your requirements for a Dao companion? Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly, inquiring in a casual tone. His relationship with Lu Miaoge was quite good by now, so this kind of conversation did not hold too much taboo for them. I have not given it much thought yet, Lu Miaoge said, her eyes lowered, speaking softly. I believe that with your potential, Sister Miaoge, you will definitely be able to succeed in foundation establishment, Lu Chongqing said, not pursuing the topic further. Foundation establishment, it's easier said than done, Lu Miaoge shook her head slightly. As someone born into the cultivation family of the Lu family, she knew very well how difficult it was to reach foundation establishment. Otherwise, aside from the Lu family ancestor, no new foundation establishment cultivator would have emerged in the family. Without access to a foundation establishment elixir, even if one reaches the peak of energy refinement with the appropriate age and possesses foundation establishment spirit objects, the probability of successfully establishing the foundation is at most 30%. Then Lu Miaoge looked at Lu Chongqing and said, if you become a second-ranked talisman master, there might still be hope for you to achieve foundation establishment in the future. Chapter 204, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. Her words were not meant to comfort. In Lu Miaoge's opinion, with Lu Chongqing's talent for the talisman path, if he became a second-grade talisman master and made good connections with other powers, there was still hope for him to obtain a foundation establishment elixir and foundation establishment spirit objects to take a shot at foundation establishment. Although the probability was also very slim. I don't have any extravagant hopes about foundation establishment, I'd be satisfied if I could break through to the energy refinement late stage, Lu Chongqing shook his head. He always appeared casual about cultivation to others, very much like a salted fish. After all, the persona of someone who devoted his heart to the path of cultivation didn't quite match up with that of a man who was the father of more than 70 children. It wouldn't do to proclaim his dedication to the path and desire for foundation establishment one moment, and then go off to make children the next. Chongqing, I won't be coming over for the time being, so the shop will be a bother for you to look after. If you have any issues, feel free to send me a message at any time, Lu Miaoge sighed softly and did not dwell on the topic. After all, not to mention Lu Chongqing's 9th grade spiritual root, even with her own middle-grade spiritual root, the probability of achieving foundation establishment wasn't much to speak of, which was quite worrying. Okay, no problem, Lu Chongqing nodded. In the following days, Lu Chongqing returned to his previous working life routine. His daily life remained as bland, tedious, and tasteless as before. Regarding having children, Lu Chongqing took an easygoing approach. He didn't strive for it, nor did he deliberately control it. If it happened, then it happened. So in the span of 3 months, 4 maids became pregnant. That day, Lu Chongqing was meditating and cultivating on the 2nd floor of the spiritual talisman shop. Suddenly, he sensed a familiar throbbing. It let Lu Chongqing know that a child had been born on Qingzhou Mountain. This child possessed a spiritual root. And at that moment of throbbing, a familiar system notification rang out. Congratulations to the host for the birth of 15 offspring with spiritual roots. You've earned 1 chance at a luck draw. 15 of them, looks like there's some hope for child money after all. Upon hearing this system notification, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but feel elated. Although the number had changed from 1, 2, 3 children per child money, to 5 now, Lu Chongqing felt it was still nice to have any at all. System, draw a prize. Lu Chongqing silently willed it. Immediately, the familiar wheel of fortune appeared. Without overthinking, Lu Chongqing commanded, "Start the draw." At once, the familiar golden light special effect appeared, and the wheel spun rapidly before slowly coming to a stop on cultivation technique. Ding! Congratulations host on obtaining the cultivation technique, Yin-Yang Harmony technique. The reward has been placed in the system space, and the host can check it at any time. A translucent jade scroll icon appeared, alongside the system notification. Yin-Yang Harmony technique. Is this a dual cultivation technique or a technique from the heretical path? Lu Chongqing's brows raised as he saw the technique. Having obtained the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, he wasn't too concerned about drawing another technique. But that didn't mean he had no need for techniques. For example, he needed techniques for cultivating the mental spirit and dual cultivation. Lu Chongqing did have demands in those areas. Right away, Lu Chongqing examined the system space to check the details of the technique he had just drawn. Cultivation technique, Yin-Yang Harmony technique, grade, peripheral sect level, description, the Yin-Yang superior, blessed with extraordinary talent yet indulged in the pleasures of men and women, hindered his cultivation. On the verge of death, after observing various techniques, he integrated them into one, creating the Yin-Yang Harmony technique, which allows cultivators to explore the great medicine within the human body through the path of Yin and Yang and uncover the mysteries of the origin of cultivation. A peripheral sect-level technique. From this description, it doesn't sound like just a simple dual cultivation technique. It should be a technique from the demon path that cultivates through dual cultivation. Lu Chongqing's frown deepened as he read about the Yin-Yang Harmony technique. But how good a technique truly is, one only knows after trying it out. After all, it is, at the very least, a peripheral sect-level technique. System, extract. Without much thought, Lu Chongqing focused his mind and extracted the Yin-Yang Harmony technique. In an instant, the method of cultivating the Yin-Yang Harmony technique, its related content, and various key points flooded into Lu Chongqing's mind like a divine insight. After some time, just as I suspected. It's not a purely dual cultivation technique, but rather a technique from the heretical path of cultivation. Lu Chongqing opened his eyes, fully comprehending the Yin-Yang Harmony technique. As he had guessed, it was a technique from the heretical path. It allowed one to swiftly enhance one's strength through dual cultivation, all the way to the nascent soul stage. If he didn't have the 7 luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture, Lu Chongqing might consider cultivating this technique. But since he had it, Lu Chongqing was not at all inclined to cultivate this technique. The reason was simple. No one understood the merits of these 2 techniques better than him. In terms of cultivation speed, the Yin-Yang Harmony technique had the upper hand. However, in terms of foundational strength, the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture far surpassed it. What Lu Chongqing emphasized was to advance steadily, build a robust foundation, and achieve greatness later in life. If he cultivated the yin-yang harmony technique, let alone reaching the nascent soul stage, it would definitely impact his later stages. Even though I won't cultivate this yin-yang harmony technique, as a technique created by the yin-yang superior by combining many others, it's incredibly inclusive. There are many secret techniques within it that I can practice and that will be of use to me. Lu Chongqing mused to himself. This yin-yang harmony technique, as a peripheral sect-level method, was naturally no simple matter. It included many dual cultivation secret techniques, astonishing Lu Chongqing with its breadth of knowledge. For instance, it contained a secret technique called Dragon Invocation Technique. This allowed a cultivator to continuously harvest the true yin essence of female cultivators, thereby making one's cultivation soar dramatically. Chapter 205, Yin-Yang Harmony Technique. Foundation Establishment. _4 If a woman possesses a special spiritual body, she can even gather certain characteristics of the spiritual body from it. However, this secret technique does have some detrimental effects on female cultivators. If over-harvested, it can damage the woman's origin source and lead to death through direct harvesting. Besides the Dragon Invocation Technique, which is a heretical path of cultivation by harvesting, Lu Chongqing also came across several good cultivation techniques. One secret technique was called the 5 aggregates proliferation method, which, after being cultivated by a male and female, could increase the odds of pregnancy. As cultivators increase their cultivation levels, there is also a side effect. It becomes more difficult to have offspring. For those in the Qi refinement realm, there are no significant consequences yet. However, once breaking through to the foundation establishment, there will be some impacts. If someone breaks through to the core formation stage, it becomes very difficult to have children. As for the nascent soul stage, it's even more challenging. And this 5 aggregates proliferation method enables one to cultivate and conserve essence, thus improving the chance of having children. The second cultivation technique is the tender embrace technique. It is a superior method for dual cultivation. Unlike the Dragon Invocation Technique, which solely advances oneself by consuming the essence of female cultivators. In the process of dual cultivation with the tender embrace technique, although the man absorbs the woman's primaline essence, this primaline essence merges with the man's primal yang essence. Thus, 1 produces 2, 2 produces 3, nourishing more of the yin and yang essences, eventually returning a portion back. It can not only replenish what the woman has lost, but the surplus can also nourish the woman, bringing her immense benefits. However, being a secret technique from the yin-yang harmony technique, there are side effects. That is, with excessive dual cultivation, it can cause the woman to become increasingly infatuated and affectionate towards the male cultivator. But in Lu Chongqing's view, this is hardly a downside. After all, he only practiced dual cultivation with his own wives, concubines, and maids. He had no intention of becoming a philanderer or doing anything that defies morality and injures the heavens. There was another secret technique called the inverted phoenix cultivation technique. It required a virgin female cultivator to practice. Once the woman has cultivated the technique to a certain profound level, the male cultivator can perform the secret technique steal the woman's primal yin in an instant to break through cultivation level bottlenecks. Foundation establishment, core formation, nascent soul, these 3 major realm bottlenecks can be aided with this technique for breakthroughs. Perhaps the maids of the White Jade Tower who are cultivating the charming Lady Elemental cultivation are practicing a similar technique. It's just that charming Lady Elemental cultivation allows those without a spiritual root to cultivate as well. Lu Chongqing felt that the inverted phoenix cultivation technique was somewhat like an upgraded version of the charming Lady Elemental cultivation. It's a pity that the inverted phoenix cultivation technique requires too much time to cultivate, and it demands a certain cultivation level from female cultivators. Otherwise, I could try the effect by purchasing a maid from the White Jade Tower for cultivation. Lu Chongqing shook his head slightly. He felt that revealing the cultivation technique from the yin-yang harmony technique was not suitable at the moment. Otherwise, it could easily lead to trouble. However, this tender embrace technique can be tried when I go back. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. After all, trying out dual cultivation techniques with one's own wives is a pleasure for the bedroom. He had previously bought the dragon locking secret technique, the Jade Chamber's essential secret, and the 36 scattered hands of Dongzuanzi, and had experienced them as well. However, those three were merely worldly arts of the bedroom and did not qualify as dual cultivation techniques. And revealing the tender embrace technique to his wives wouldn't be an issue, he could simply say he stumbled upon it at the market for loose cultivators. Night fell. Xiaoqing, come here, your husband has something good to teach you. After returning home and having dinner, Lu Chongqing called Xiaoqing to his room. Afterward, son-in-law, Xiaoqing can't take it anymore. Lying on the bed, Xiaoqing's eyes, brimming with water, were filled with tender affection and charm. Xiaoqing, see how much your cultivation level has increased. Lu Chongqing asked, looking towards Xiaoqing. Son-in-law, I've been cultivating for about a day or two. Xiaoqing's face flushed with excitement and immediately showed a look of surprise. A day or two, it seems the effect is just average. Lu Chongqing pondered softly. He knew this also depended on the cultivation level of both individuals. Because Xiaoqing was only at the third level energy refinement, the effect was better for her than for him. Through dual cultivation, he had only managed a slight increase, probably equivalent to 2 or 3 hours of meditation. However, something is better than nothing. It's at least better than not having anything, and it added a bit of boudoir pleasure. Lu Chongqing didn't mind thinking any further. After all, this was as good as getting something for nothing. He then positioned Xiaoqing properly and smiled, no problem, little by little adds up, let your son-in-law aid you in your cultivation. Great Dream Immortal City. Inner City Cave Dwelling Area. But then, outside one of the cave dwellings, nature's spiritual energy was suddenly drawn out, forming a spiritual energy vortex. This is, someone is making a breakthrough to foundation establishment. By the looks of it, they have breached the 3 barriers of foundation establishment and have reached the most critical step. It's uncertain whether they'll be successful or not. The unusual surge in nature's spiritual energy drew the attention and curiosity of other cultivators from nearby cave dwellings. However, the onlookers were few. After all, in a place like Great Dream Immortal City where high-end cave dwellings are rented out to outsiders, there are cultivators attempting foundation establishment and challenging their bottlenecks every year. And at this very moment, inside the cave dwelling, foundation establishment achieved. Meng Xiaochan opened her eyes, and a purple light flickered in her pupils. At this moment, her face also reverted to its original appearance, bearing a 3 to 4 part similarity to before. But as if her facial features had matured, from her previous delicate beauty, she transformed into a woman of breathtaking allure. Her entire being radiated an elusive and ethereal charm, making her feel ungraspable. I've successfully established my foundation. Meng Xiaochan looked at her own palms and couldn't help but show a joyous smile on her face. Afterward, she closed her eyes, and in her mind appeared the image of a handsome and upright young man. In this manner, she quietly felt the state of her mental spirit and her emotions. Moments later, Meng Xiaochan felt a surge of rising sentiment in her heart and immediately opened her eyes, dispelling the image in her mind and suppressing the feelings in her heart. What a domineering Lockhart goo, even after my foundation establishment it still affects me. I must find a way to solve it, to kill him and take back the Lockhart goo. Meng Xiaocan's eyes revealed a determined look. But as soon as the thought emerged, she felt a pang of turmoil and pain in her heart, feeling as though she should not have such thoughts. Meng Xiaochan immediately formed a spiritual art with her hands to calm her inner turmoil. She began to think about how she was going to take back the Lockhart Gu. Chapter 206, 2 Boss, the big boss might not make it. _19 Dragon's Market. Jade Meal Pavilion. Inside a private room, Yu Maoqing was dining and drinking with Lu Chongqing. Brother Lu, the situation of the Lu family doesn't seem very optimistic. Do you have any plans in mind? After the drinks had flowed for a while, Yu Maoqing initiated the conversation. What plans could I have? When the sky falls, there's someone tall to bear it. It's not my turn to worry. What, brother Yu, are you bringing this up because you have a strategy in mind? Lu Chongqing lifted an eyebrow when he heard this. Today, Yu Maoqing invited him to drink in this private room, which made him feel that the other party had something to say. Now hearing this, he thought to himself that indeed, there was something. What strategies could I possibly have? It's just that the Yu family is interested in recruiting you, brother Lu. They asked me to act as a mediator. They conveyed that if brother Lu is willing to join the Yu family, they are also willing to offer a family maiden in marriage to you. As for the conditions and treatment, brother Lu, you are also free to make requests, said Yu Maoqing as he took a bite of his dish, smirked bitterly, and spoke the truth. I, Lu Chongqing, came from humble beginnings to join the Lu family. Now that my wives, concubines, and children are all with the Lu family, how can I commit such an act of betrayal against my own family? Lu Chongqing waved his hand dismissively. Brother Lu, please don't take offense. It's just that the Yu family knew of our acquaintance, which is why they had me act as the mediator. There's no other implication. I'll punish myself with a drink. Yu Maoqing promptly lifted his cup and announced, expressing his apologies. I'm well aware of that. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, not taking it too much to heart. He knew that Yu Maoqing was just a go-between. The Yu family asking him to be the mediator didn't leave him any choice but to accept. In that case, I'll give the Yu family a response later. However, brother Lu, with your talent in the talisman path and having become a top-level talisman master at such a young age, I reckon the Yu family won't give up easily. They will likely send someone to recruit you again. Yu Maoqing explained. Envy was an inevitable undertone in his voice. Previously, when the Yu family asked him to mediate, he was somewhat surprised. But after learning that Lu Chongqing was a top-level talisman master, his surprise was immense. He had always thought Lu Chongqing was a middle-grade talisman master. Little had he expected Lu Chongqing to have been promoted to top-level talisman master. In his awe at Lu Chongqing's talisman path talent, he understood why the Lu family said nothing about his multiple marriages. His status was such that it simply wasn't comparable to that of a cultured family son-in-law like himself. Alright, thanks for the heads up, brother Yu. Lu Chongqing nodded. He could also sense what Yu Maoqing implied. It meant that the Yu family would arrange through Yu Maoqing to have him meet with someone from their family later. So it was like a courtesy heads up for now. Actually, as a friend, I think brother Lu could consider this option. It's not to say you should betray the Lu family, rather, if the situation of the Lu family truly becomes untenable, brother Lu must consider an alternative for yourself. Yu Maoqing took a sip of his drink and voiced his thoughts. Let's see about that when the time comes, Lu Chongqing sighed lightly. It's still a bit early to discuss this matter now. In his escape plans, he had naturally considered an alternative. If it came to the point where the Lu family was truly failing, Lu Chongqing planned to take his wives, concubines, and children to escape and hide in the marketplace for a few years. Once the time was right, he would reveal his first-grade top-level talisman-making skill and choose to join forces like the Qingyun Commerce Guild. As for clans like the Yu family involved in cultivation, they weren't even within the range of his considerations. After all, not every cultured family was as relatively upright as the Lu family, a place where he could live comfortably and without worry. Moreover, after the incident with the Lu family, joining another cultivation family would ensure he never truly fit in and would face ostracism. He would rather join a commerce guild or a sect, where life would be more relaxed and carefree. Indeed, there's no need to rush these things, Yu Maoqing agreed, nodding. With Brother Lu's talisman-making skill, you can establish yourself anywhere. He did not continue to delve into this topic. Half a month later, Lu Chongqing was in the spiritual talisman shop, drawing talismans. Zhang Shan informed Lu Chongqing that Yu Maoqing was looking for him. "Brother Yu, what's the matter?" Lu Chongqing descended from upstairs and asked Yu Maoqing. "It's about what I mentioned last time. The Yu family will be sending someone again to recruit Brother Lu. The third young master of the Yu family has arrived today and asked me to invite Brother Lu for a chat," Yu Maoqing announced. The third young master of the Yu family. Lu Chongqing obviously did not recognize this third young master of the Yu family. But being referred to as the third young master, he inferred that the young master's status within the Yu family must not be ordinary. "Brother Lu, why don't you go and meet him? Even if Brother Lu isn't interested in joining the Yu family, it's still reasonable to meet," Yu Maoqing suggested. He then lowered his voice and added, "Moreover, from what I know, this third young master doesn't have the best of reputations. If Brother Lu can avoid offending him, it's best to do so." "Alright, you'll go with Brother Yu and meet him then," Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly and nodded in response. He was aware that if he refused, it would be difficult for Yu Maoqing to explain himself. And since the Yu family had sent a young master over, it was unlikely that he would just leave after making a visit without meeting anyone. Rather than going himself, later encounters would still lead them to seek him out, so it might as well be now. Why does it feel like these cultivation families are trying to uproot the Lu family? Lu Chongqing suddenly thought of the previous incident where young Master Bai pursued Lu Miaoge. It seemed that young Master Bai's presence in Nine Dragon Square, persistently wooing Lu Miaoge, might not stem from genuine affection for Lu Miaoge. Instead, this approach could be a way to show earnestness and an attempt to have Lu Miaoge join the Bai family. Sigh, it truly is a case of everyone pushing a falling wall. The Lu family ancestor hasn't even passed away yet, and it's come to this. If the Lu family ancestor were to die. Chapter 207, Second Master, the Big Boss is in trouble. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but think in his heart. He felt that the cultivation world was more naked than he had imagined. Shortly after, Lu Chongqing and Yu Maoqing arrived at a private room on the second floor of the Jade Meal Pavilion. Inside the private room, the table was already prepared with fine wines and dishes. "Lu Daoist, it's an honor to meet you," said a handsome young man in a couple of brocade clothes with a somewhat effeminate air, who, upon seeing Lu Chongqing, gave him a few glances and greeted him with a cupped fist. "I've seen the third young master," Lu Chongqing replied with a slight bow, knowing that this was indeed the third young master of the Yu family. "Brother Lu, third young master, I still have some matters to attend to, you two chat," said Yu Maoqing as he introduced them to each other. He wouldn't linger after bringing Lu Chongqing, so he took his leave with a cupped fist. Yuning Yuan nodded slightly and waved his hand to indicate Yu Maoqing should step down. Then he made a gesture inviting Lu Chongqing to sit down. "Lu Daoist, please take a seat. The reason I invited Lu Daoist here this time, you probably already understand," he began. "I heard from Yu Maoqing that you are not considering this aspect for the time being, but there's no rush, Lu Daoist can still listen to my offer. Even if it doesn't work out, we can still be friends and become acquainted," Yuning Yuan said with a smile, picking up the wine pot and personally pouring wine for Lu Chongqing. I consider it a fortunate matter to meet a young talent like third young master Yu, Lu Chongqing replied. I'll drink first, he said, seeing that his host was so polite, he naturally wouldn't offend, and with a smile, he drank all the wine in his cup. He exclaimed, "Good wine." These words were no mere courtesy. Lu Chongqing hadn't drunk much wine. Just the white jade bamboo wine and white jade 100 flowers wine, and others. But now, he could clearly appreciate that this wine far surpassed the white jade bamboo wine and white jade 100 flowers wine he had tasted before. It nourished the spiritual power and mental spirit, probably a first-grade top-quality spiritual wine. This is the special spiritual wine from by Lake Mountain, green water spiritual wine. It's quite effective for nourishing the mind and spirit. Since you are a talisman master, Lu Daoist, you can drink more. If you like it, I have another pot on me, you can take it back to enjoy, Yuning Yuan offered. Third young master Yu is too courteous. I cannot accept such a reward for no merit, how could I be so bold? Lu Chongqing waved his hand, naturally not tempted by just a bit of spiritual wine. Seeing this, Yuning Yuan did not dwell on the subject and started talking about other matters. He inquired about Lu Changsheng's situation in the Lu family, his life. Then he spoke about the current situation of the Lu family and introduced his own Yu family's circumstances. If Lu Chongqing didn't have a systematic approach, and a clear plan for himself, he might genuinely have been moved by the third young master of the Yu family's appearance and words of attracting talents. After all, according to the third young master, the prospects of the Lu family were not optimistic. While the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain not only had 2 foundation establishment great cultivators as pillars, within 10 years, there was hope for the birth of a third foundation establishment great cultivator. Their family's overall strength and future prospects far surpassed those of the Lu family. If Lu Chongqing were willing to join, the future promised limitless possibilities. After wrapping up the conversation, Yuning Yuan took out a pot of spiritual wine and 3 jade boxes, placing them on the table. Upon opening the jade boxes, inside each were a magic artifact talisman brush, 10 crystal clear middle-grade spirit stones, and 1 high-rank breakthrough elixir. "Brother Lu, this is a small token of sincerity from my Yu family," he said. This set of resources would be enough for Brother Lu's cultivation to reach the energy refinement late stage. Moreover, if Brother Lu is willing to join my Yu family, my family would like to marry a legitimate daughter to Brother Lu as a wife. Once Brother Lu has cultivated to the energy refinement late stage, and has made a significant contribution, my Yu family might even bestow a high-grade cultivation technique and teach the insights of foundation establishment, Yuning Yuan added with a hint of confidence on his face. I suppose the Lu family could not offer Lu Daoists such attractive terms, could they? He continued. Lu Chongqing, looking at the spiritual wine, the magic artifact talisman brush, the 10 middle-grade spirit stones, and the high-rank breakthrough elixir in front of him, could not help but inwardly marvel at the Yu family's generosity. He instantly recognized that the brush was a top-quality magic artifact talisman brush. Together with the 10 middle-grade spirit stones and the high-rank breakthrough elixir, they were worth more than 3,000 spirit stones. It was undoubtedly a grand gesture. He understood in his heart that the Yu family was willing to pay such a price because they had seen the potential of his talents in the talisman path. They knew that in the future, he wouldn't just be a superior talisman master, but had the potential to become a second-grade talisman master. Otherwise, a superior talisman master alone would not be worth such a huge investment for the Yu family to recruit. And to go so far as to marry off a legitimate daughter and to grant a high-grade cultivation technique. In powerful cultivation families, legitimate children seldom marry out of the family. For example, Yuningrong, who married Yu Maoqing, was only a member of a side branch of the Yu family. Third young master Yu, I am very sorry, but ever since I was insignificant, I have been with the Lu family, which has brought me up to where I am today. I truly cannot do something that would betray my family, Lu Chongqing expressed with a regretful bow. If he were an ordinary cultivator, faced with this offer, it would indeed be challenging to refuse. After all, with wealth, a woman, cultivation techniques, and the prospect of being part of the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain, it was a complete package. Especially high-rank cultivation techniques and insights into foundation establishment, for an ordinary cultivator, they were absolutely irresistible. Even though every cultivator knew that their chances of foundation establishment were slim, the mere mention of anything related to it got them excited and hooked. After all, foundation establishment was the dream of countless cultivators. Even the slightest chance of success would be fiercely sought after. As soon as he expressed this, Yuning Yuan, who had a faintly confident smile on his face, stiffened. He looked at Lu Chongqing with some astonishment. Unexpectedly, after all his persuasion, Lu Chongqing was still not tempted. Lu Chongqing didn't mind. After all, he couldn't just stop having children because the Lu family situation was not looking good, could he? These maids in the Nine Dragons market, the affairs of the Lu family, would not affect them here. On this day, Lu Chongqing was meditating on the second floor of the spiritual talisman shop when suddenly a rush of panicky voices came. "Second master, something terrible has happened. The first master has been gravely injured, unconscious, and might not make it." You're tuning into the Path of the True Immortal YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.